Amel Heba said hello.
Hello. Brother's proud of me. When I'm really talking, every move I make, everyone is watching. I mean, on the come up, I'm wanting and falling. Yeah. And I try to let things over and shake it. It's all of me, I try, can't take it. But that's the life I chose and can't change it. So I just take this road on, and I only want that. It's all that I am. I can't let them have I know them down bad. It's tragic. Things I try to push away, but at night, bad dreams are all in my head. I don't sleep, so I get no rest. Bad dreams are all in my head. Before I. How many times in life like this? The times that I never been a part in. And I'm scared that I'll be working till I wake up in the moon. Scared I might get shot like when I'm sleeping at my own. I don't wanna go below my own best. I don't wanna take the drop when I'm dead. And it feels like I may never make it out. Cause better days never come when I made it out. Never really talking. Every move I make, I feel like everyone is watching. I mean, on the come up, I'm falling. And I try to let things over this taken. It's all of me, I try, can't take it. That's the life I chose, I can't change it. So I just let this roll on. And I know they want that. It's only in a casket. It's all that I can't even have it. Maybe it's tragic. Things I try to push away, but at night, bad dreams are all in my head. I don't sleep, so I get no rest. Bad dreams are all in my head. Before I. Yes, what's wrong?
Eat Sal Silva said Ola.
What's going on? Hold up. Hold up.
Ariana Rodriguez said hi.
Hello. How goes it? Use me up no more. You can use me up no more. You can use me up. I'm always going on these cycles with no fucked up in my head. I could just spend it on tomorrow. I keep
Bring Condo
going on
Camarena official.
instead.
Said ugly.
On the harbor, knowing down my request. I could just spend it on tomorrow.
Bring Condo Camarena official. Said hi.
Hello.
Maybe I'll be better by the weekend. So you can call me when I'm sad. All the voices in my head never calm me down, never calm me down. Sick of living with this dread, and I'm sorry I upset you. I'm
XX
sorry
Jan Clan
now,
said
yeah,
why
I'm
did you add the
sorry
button?
now, yeah.
Bring Condo Camarena official. Said hi.
Because I can.
Bring Condo
The
Camarena
first
official.
part, stupid
Said
question
hi.
was like,
Bring Condo Camarena official. Said hi. Alvin the man said Ayo. Bring Condo Camarena official. Said hi. 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 Eco Gameplay said Plaza Mi Plaza.
That was one dumbass. Oh,
I got traumas that I run from, can't let go of all the pain, and I just want someone to show me, tell me that I'll be fine. I want someone to care, tell me that I'm alright, but I'm breaking. All they do is what I'm facing, and you know my heart's been racing. Got too many pills I'm taking. Inside, yeah, keep it inside. I'm bottling emotions, it's all of my pride. I'm just filling the void with money, cars, and drugs, and the women I love, they're just using me up. Like, it's hard to be sane when everybody wanna try me. Friends switch up, now I know they never lie me. There's too many times that I'm falling out the deep end. Lonely vibes, cause I'm falling out of sequence. Running too fast, but I don't know why. Even with this cash, I can't get by. Everybody talk, they don't know my life, but I still try. I got traumas that I run from, can't let go of all the pain, and I just want someone to show me, tell me that I'll be fine. I want someone who cares, tell me that I'm alright, but I'm crazy. All they do is what I'm facing, and you know my heart's been racing. Got too many pills I'm taking. I carry on, but it's so exhausting. Dead friends and family on me. Barely living, I feel like a zombie. I feel invisible, nobody wants me. I ruin everything and I know it's all my fault. How can I change when I got these obstacles? It's all in my brain, I got depression in my skull. Just want to escape, but it feels impossible. I'm running too fast, but I don't know why. Even with this cash, I can't get by. Everybody talk, they don't know my life, but I still try. I got traumas that I run from, can't let go of all the pain, and I just want someone to show me, tell me that I'll be fine. I want someone who cares, tell me that I'm alright, but I'm crazy. All they do is what I'm facing, and you know my heart's been racing. Got too many pills I'm taking.
that was a very stupid question. Why did you draw the butt? Why not? Why the fuck do I not draw the butt? The fuck? That women don't have asses? Is that what you're saying? Does every woman you come across have no ass, or like a what? A cardboard of a ass? Is that what you're saying? Fuck.
And it feels like the world's on my shoulders. Now I only move slow, and it's all in my head now. I'm letting myself down, I'm not living up to what I wanna be. I feel alone in all of my dreams. Why is it always hard to be seen? And if I die, will they tell my story? Will I find glory? And can you let me know? I just wanna know now, I just wanna know. Is anybody out there? I need to know that it's not just me. I ain't going nowhere. If I can find just someone, is anybody out there? I need to know that it's not just me. I ain't going nowhere. If I can find just someone. Feeling sad, been running. Instance, keep feeling pain when I start to slip. Reminding myself I gotta catch my grip. Letting it go now, just feel like I checked out. Been looking for another way in. Waiting for the day that I can catch my breath. Waiting for the day that I can breathe again. And I'm still holding unanswered questions flooding my head at night. Like, am I alright? Am I wasting my time? Should I cut ties? Am I losing my mind? Is anybody out there? I need to know that it's not just me. I ain't going nowhere. If I can find just someone, is anybody out there? I need to know that it's not just me. I ain't going nowhere. If I can find just someone.
Cinnamon Roll 2015 said hi.
Hello. What's up, Cinnamon Roll? What brings you to the stream today.
V2 whatever said hi Artextric. Nice to see you greater than 3.
Hello. How goes it?
V2 whatever said good. 3 how are you doing? I like the sketches so far.
Thank you. I want to try something real quick. I appreciate it, thank you.
V2 whatever said I might go live in a while, no clue, but I do know I need to post more art content. Loudly crying face emoji art block is absolutely the main end.
Oh shit, I just did that, hold up. Didn't mean for that to happen. I pressed the wrong button. Yeah. I might go live in a while, no clue, but I do know I need to post more art content. Art block is up. There's no such thing as art block. Art block doesn't exist. Or we're using that term extremely wrong. You gotta do chores. Alright, do your thing. Fucking okay. I don't need this. Shit, this is pissing me off. Okay. Think of these love songs, all sad and slow. Think of the shit. Fucked up since you've been gone. I'm so thankful you got my phone. I need you the most. 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 I need you the most.
Be a war zone hidden on me, but you can't ignore it. Don't try to do it better, boy. You better take more notes. This game's cutthroat. You don't want a part of it. Get on my level. You better know there's no mercy for the weak. No apologies. Never letting up, so don't dishonor me. Leave them off the seas, watching them burn in the furnace. It's time that I conquer some heads. Opinions and everyone's got them. It feels like a handful of meat at the bottom. I open my phone just to see what they're talking. Afraid to be stuck in my ego too often. Like yeah, the comments and critics and therapists. I try to have been committed to people who tell me that I'll never fit in. The voice in my head that is so pessimistic. Yeah, I've been on a lockdown, bridging at my door like. Telling me that I should just quit life, but I never do, only living in spite of the people that come from my head every time. Saying like, this one's for the ones that doubt me, so go on, keep talking about me. I will not bow down to you, no, I never really wanted your respect, so I don't really want to get into the hate, but it fuels my rage, and it sparks that flame, trying to ventilate it from a new I'm gonna feel everything, but I don't think I'll be the one to ever turn another page. I've been so sinister, seeking my vengeance, I'm seeking repentance for all that you've done. End up diminish the odds of you winning 1,000,000 to 1. Better be a war zone hidden on me, but you can't ignore it. Don't try to do it better, boy. You better take more notes. This game's cutthroat. You don't want a part of it. Get on my level. You better know there's no mercy for the weak. No apologies. Never letting up, so don't dishonor me.
I don't know why this song comes off so try hard. It's not even funny.
Logic comparisons go shaky. Funny when I'm true to myself, they want to break me. Like it's supposed to be a diss to me, to be compared to the ones I used to wish to be. Nah, dismissive you must, but you can't deny that I'm already up. I don't need respect cause my fans give enough. These critics like addicts, they feed up for buzz. See the ones that talk the most, always do the least. They wanna blog and post, man, it's sad to see how they build a career off of talking about others instead of just chasing a dream. So now I gotta be the one that gotta hit it top and never
Oh, it's not straight. I'm so stupid. Why do I have pop-ups?
so they feel safe when they come play. Always seeing Josh change, yeah, it blows my mind. How people so content living such sad lives. I know I shouldn't be giving this no time, but I had to throw them a piece of my mind. Yeah. Better be a war zone hidden on me, but you can't ignore it. Don't try to do it better, boy. You better take more notes. This game's cutthroat. You don't want a part of it. Get on my level. You better know there's no mercy for the weak. No apologies. Never letting up, so don't dishonor me. Leave them off the seas, watching them burn in the furnace.
Thank you, Jolly Answer, for sending 1x hard me.
Thank you.
Don't try to do it better, boy. You better take more notes. This game's cutthroat. You don't want a part of it. Get on my level. You better know there's no mercy for the weak. No apologies.
Jolly Answer says, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, I feel these omens all around me. It's been hard to navigate. Feels like every new success is trying to dance upon my grave. And all these fakes are getting hungry, wanna bite up my achievements. If I make it out alive, I guarantee a wrong move, then they're coming for your neck. The fact I wanna be myself on this album feels like a threat, and it's so typical. That a late show made me miserable. People there leech off the numbers that are pre digital. Tricking your ego in an attempt to make C-notes. They tell you all of the things that you wanna hear, but me zero. Man, I don't need that. Started for nothing, I don't need the feedback. Call every shop and they never see that. Figure for them, you know I never be that. I don't want nothing to do with it. Think I'm in my zone and I'm feeling like I'm on the pose. Make this sound my own, I'm perfected, drop it, then I'm ghost. I've been chasing goals, that's the only way to let them know. But lately it's been hard to be, cause I feel love these omens all around me. It's been hard to navigate. Feels like every new success they're trying to dance upon my grave. And all these snakes are getting hungry, wanna bite off my achievements. If I make it out alive, I guarantee they won't believe it. Stacking up ammo, put on the camo, don't weigh more than you can handle. Chopping the samples, better than you never make it. It's not really much of a gamble. Setting examples, watching my scramble. All of you new so there's not on the candle. I'm not here to take part, no, I'm here to take over. I think my biggest flaw is that I'm way too generous. If I meet somebody that I like, I always give and give. Turns out if you keep on doing that, then they turn venomous. The second you don't give them what they want, then now they're nemesis. These people talking bad or they're involvement in my way. It's only thing they contributed was just being in my way. Like, I don't take advice if you can't even help yourself. It's just me, my engineer, I might have pleaded mental health, so now they're dead to me. No, this ain't a game, this is my legacy. I cut them off and now I stand alone and I'm the better me. I cut up 90 centrals like this plague. Now my mental's up in flames. Talk too much about my pain, but I don't care, it's in my veins. It's so frightening. People in the dark, you know I like to move in silence. I don't flex on social media, I've been in hiding. Yeah, I got a plot, I'll let my moves perfect my timing. Yeah, I feel these omens all around me. It's been hard to navigate. It feels like every new success is trying to dance upon my grave. And all these snakes are getting hungry, wanna bite off my achievements. If I make it out alive, I guarantee they won't believe it. Stacking up ammo, put on the camo, don't weigh more than you can handle. Chopping the samples, better than you never make it. It's not really much of a gamble. Setting examples, watching my scramble. All of you new so there's not on the candle. I'm not here to take part, no, I'm here to take over.
Riza Esor, T-Rex, said hey what's the hand grabbing? The Horned One said a balloon.
Yeah, balloon.
Nanafero asks what you making?
I'm just doing hand practice.
I don't like the drugs, but the drugs like me. Everything I want, but I'm still dying. Even when I'm down, no, I'm still trying. I'm not really living, I'm just surviving. I've been looking for my purpose again, and I'm barely hanging on by a thread. Just been getting too hard to pretend. I just wanna let go of my sins.
Beanbag says today
Nanafero
games
said,
play
oh,
one
really
of you.
good. I'm asking for a drawing pad for my birthday.
I don't know yet, we'll figure that out. Oh, I just realized this something. Oh, really? Good. I'm asking for a drawing pad for my birthday. That's pretty cool.
Nanafero asks, what one do you have?
I don't like the drugs, but the drugs like me. Everything I want, but I'm still dying. Even when I'm down, no, I'm still trying. I'm not really living, I'm just surviving. I've been looking for my purpose again, and I'm barely hanging on by a thread.
I should answer your
Nanafero
question.
said, thank you.
I just wanna let go of my friends. Withdraw. Going on, it's so long, but I'm hanging on. And I've been letting the ones down above me. I just push them away, cause I don't even know myself or who I can. These days embrace pain to try.
Do you guys really enjoy playing that Phasmophobia game or whatever that ghost game?
Don't even bother trying to save me. I don't want anything to function. On my own destruction.
Nanafero said, how are you so good?
Rob.
I don't know. The game comes off more like work than it is. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I guess because the game, what do you call it? Fuck, what do you call it?
Nanafero said, I can only draw faces and heads.
Beanbag says your video worked good.
The one I posted with me getting the diamond. I think that you're referring to.
Nanafero said, not hands or bodies, face purple crying.
I need to practice them. Time. Mine.
Nanafero said, yeah, I do, that's why I'm watching.
Okay.
Beanbag said, God, I have to talk dumb so TikTok can read it out, Jesus.
Why is it so against you? Whenever you're like trying to talk.
Nanafero said, nice profile pic. Beanbag said, I don't know you.
I wonder why. That's weird. We gotta figure why that's causing so much trouble. Its censorship is crazy, man.
Beanbag said, I wanted to say the videos you gave me came out good and I understood well.
Oh, I wanted to say that the videos.
Beanbag said, I can okay rivals later if you want.
Okay. Alright. We can play a bit later. What time are you open? Because I know you have the kid to look over.
Beanbag said, or heel divers.
Or that too.
Beanbag said heel. Beanbag said hell.
When do you have to put the kid to sleep, or is he already asleep? This part is this part right here. This thumb.
Beanbag asks, I have free time by 8. Is that okay?
That's fine. Oh, I think the thumb is way too low, so we need to make it a bit higher. So we need to, okay. Grab this. I'm gonna put about here, and I'm gonna put the thumb more higher up. I think that's where everything would kind of went left. So I'm gonna curve this here. Fix the thumb about here. So like that. Maybe put an indent here to show the 3D form. There we go. I think that makes more sense. Okay, so we just need to make this look a lot more pleasant. That's all we need to do, and then we'll do another pass on it. Okay, like this. Okay, and now we're going to clean this up here. It still looks kind of off, so we need to make that. And then fix the balloon. Okay, now it looks a little weird, but we can make it look better. There's always room for improvement when drawing. The finger here, I would say, is a bit too skinny, so I'm going to make it a bit bigger. There we go. And then we're going to put a little bit more emphasis on the balloon itself, like this. Okay. Like that. And then the balloon like that. Now we're gonna do another pass again and fix it. So the point of doing this is to narrow down every problem every time, so we don't ever have to have these wonky looking drawings. It's great practice because it keeps you more confident in your lines, and also it doesn't make you think you have to go straight to line art completely at the very beginning. A lot of people think that once they make the one sketch, they should jump straight into line art. I don't think that's a smart idea to do in most cases, especially if you're a beginner. If you're a professional, then I can understand to a certain degree, but you should always try to keep it in check when doing this. It eliminates more errors. Okay, straight down. That. Okay, and then we're gonna put a little bit more of an indent here. Okay.
Lady Insaney said hi.
Hello. How goes it?
Lady Insaney said looks cool.
Alright. But thank you though. Looks too inorganic, so we need to make it a little more organic with the like that. I think that knuckle is a little too close, so we're gonna pull it back a little bit. And then I'm gonna put an extra. Okay, there's a placement there, and then oops, make it thin and then thicken. The reason why you want to thicken certain places is because you want to show sense of depth. It gives them more believability to the squeezing of the hand. So we need to thin out this area here. Okay. Okay, bring this on here. There we go. closer.
Thank you, Legendary Rick, for sending 1x hard.
Thank you.
Rick says WST man.
Not much, just doing my thing, just trying to do my practice. And I have to do some animatic work, but just doing quick warm-ups and practice and to improve.
Rick says that you're making a hand.
Yep. Okay. So that's 171. Yep. Oop. Yeah. And then we put it here. Okay. Not bad. Put a little more extra depth. Blends the lip lines on the side of the hand right there. Alright. And then so this part here needs to be a little more. Okay. And then cut it right there. Alright, we got it. Okay. Pretty much done at this point. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm gonna put some lip lines on the ball, on the balloon, I mean. There we go.
Riker Close says good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, Bri. I think the hands a little bit too not there. Alright. Let's put a lift line on this balloon here. There we go. Pretty cool. Not something I would usually do too much, but that was a good practice, anatomy practice on hands real quick. Whew. Let's move these out of the way for now. That was interesting. That was interesting. I don't fit in. I don't get it. I don't win it. You ain't winning. You don't wanna say. I don't wanna say. Everyone in my way wrong. Not. And it has to be much bigger. That's too fucking small. That I'd make them head too small or too big. You don't want to.
I don't really know where I'm going. Feels like everyone found this story. All my stress gets overflowing. I just count the days. I don't really know where I'm going. Feels like everyone found this story. All my stress gets overflowing. I just count my days. I know they won't last. And it feels like I don't have a place now. Cause I don't connect with anyone and find a way out. But when I'm up, I'm just waiting for the takedown. Will my fear of living life ever die out? Lost inside this maze and I can't take this, so I take 2 pills to stay here. Then I'll wake up on my bed. I can't keep living like this. The shot that's got its claws in me, dragging me back down where I don't wanna be. I can't shake my withdrawals now, but they got me begging for the end. I'm suffering. All of these drugs been calling me. I thought I was so sorry. I bury my head, I don't wanna see no one. It's a better world without me. I don't really know where I'm going. Feels like everyone found this story. All my stress been overflowing. I just count my days, I know they won't last. And it feels like I don't have a place now. Cause I don't connect with anyone and find a way out. But when I'm up, I'm just waiting for the takedown. Will my fear of living life ever die out?
Why do I smell pepper? This one's wrong. Not good. Not good.
When I'm with you, baby, we've been through hell and back. Got the same mission, that's why we always stay intact. Yeah, I miss you, I never thought I'd be feeling that. Both got flaws, how we cover up, but you don't gotta hide your scars from me. Cause I know what it's like feeling broken. Tell me what you need. I'll be there cause my heart's stolen. Tell me about your problems that won't work.
Well, I'm not really feeling it. Oh, it's terrible. That's terrible. Horrible. For me. Tell me what you need. Everything you can.
Baby, we've been through hell and back.
Tell me what you need. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. I'm getting tired of this stupid movie. Okay, with me.
I got access to Marvel Rivals Season 1.5, so let me show you Human Torch's abilities, the Thing's abilities, and all of these buffs and nerfs in the game to show you what they're all about. Let's first start with Human Torch. His primary attack is a 6-round primary attack. It fires fairly fast. You'll notice it has quite an interesting burst pattern, but the further we go away, you'll notice that it's still going to hit fairly effectively. And what's really interesting about this is you'll see 6 flame icons on the screen. This is actually your ammo, and it recharges over time pretty quickly. So even though you have 6 rounds, if you keep firing, eventually what will happen is you'll reach no ammo, and it will just charge, and you can keep firing at a slower fire rate. So technically, you can have infinite ammo, or wait for it to charge back up again, and then start firing more often. Now, Human Torch's secondary attack fires these bursts on the ground, and as you'll see, they'll stay there for a while, and this will actually pair with another ability that we'll get into in a second. But let's first look at the effect when you throw it on the ground, on a player. It'll do base damage, and then it'll do tick damage over time. Now, if you walk into this area, you'll also take tick damage over time, as you see this spot here. You take damage whilst it's in the flame. Now, as soon as they leave that flame, there'll no longer be any more damage. Now, you get 3 of these together on cooldown, but as you can see, you can fire a bit more than that. We've got 5 here now. You can get about 5 down before it goes on cooldown. Now, the interesting thing about that is how it combines with the Flame Ball ability. The Flame Ball pairs 2 or more of these together to create, you guessed it, a Flame Ball. Now, what's very interesting is anything caught in that radius will, of course, take damage over time. Now, you may start to see a pattern here. A lot of Human Torch's abilities are about dealing damage over time and stacking that up together. Now, you could do something very crazy. Let's try and make a 4, shall we? So we've got 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then we create a flame wall. That's a diamond. You get the point though. You can actually stack more than 1 together and create the whole area connected together. That's going to create a really nice way to stop pushes, do area of effect damage, and so much more as well. Now, Johnny does have a passive, but when you hold down shift, you'll get sort of like an enhanced state to get you up into the air faster, which is going to be really important because it pairs well with the next ability, which is this. You basically fly down to the ground nearby and hit and knock back players. Now, what's really, really cool is it pairs with this flame field ability. So if I go into this, it'll actually detonate that area. So let's get a group to really showcase the potential here. Let's get a group out. So what will happen is if I do a normal thing, it does a very small amount of damage, right?
Wow, really? That was a major pushback.
If I then
what the fuck?
combine it with some flame field,
that is major pushback.
So what happens now? Get a group again. Put 1, 2 down, maybe. Now look at the health we do. Ready? It does more as those flame fields are detonated. So you can really combine the abilities in interesting ways.
How did we get to play the character? When what the fuck? How are you able to play the character? What the fuck?
Like this, and everything in this area explodes together. A lot of combo potential. Now, Johnny's ultimate, when activated, will allow you to do this as your right click instead. You will be able to create super tornadoes. Now you'll notice they don't really move. However, they can be used together in very interesting ways. So if you fire on an enemy, for example, it does a lot more damage than the base attack. Now check this out. If I get my ultimate, and now if I press X, it will enhance her ultimate into a firestorm, dealing more damage, which is really incredible. Now, what's really great is if I just put one of my hurricanes here, it will enhance it as she moves into it. There are many ways to combine it together. You don't have to. Like, if she walks into this now, it would also turn into flames. So that's a pretty good look at his abilities. You can see them on the screen as well. He also has the same passive with Fantastic Four's team up with Invisible Woman. But overall, he's got a lot of decent damage that stacks over time with sort of damage over time. Really combo everything together really well. Now check how much distance you can get on the flame wall. I put it like here. That still works. Takes some time to connect, but it still works. Next, we have the Thing. Now he's a very interesting vanguard that has some dive potential, some peel potential, and so much more. Firstly, he has two attacks that basically have no cooldown. This is his first attack, and I'll show you the damage it does now. Let's just get a snow. This is a 2 burst. So every time you click it, it does 2 bursts, as you can see here. If you melee, it's the same. Okay? But his secondary attack does a charge up and fires out a sort of shockwave. And that does a lot more damage. And I do believe you have to charge it fully up before you can use it. So those are like the 2 primary attacks. He's got a lot of upfront potential. Now his shift will charge him forwards, and then whoever's hit in that area will not be able to use movement abilities to escape. So if we read this ability, continuously charge forward, launching up enemies and leaving behind a zone at the final position that prevents the use of mobility ability. So that's a really powerful ability to sort of dive somebody, like, I don't know, an invisible woman who wants to double jump away, won't be able to do it. Now another ability is I can use E to jump onto my teammate, and then I and the teammate will get damage reduction for a short time. These rocks signify the damage reduction. Now this Galactobot usually does, I believe, 50 damage, is it? 25. So we're taking 25 right now. If I go here, we're now taking a little bit less, as you can see. Let's try and get a nice round number so we can actually figure this out. So we'll go to 700 health here. Let's see how much damage it takes instead. Here we go. So 17 instead of 25. That's quite nice. Now, the Thing also has a passive. He's immune to launch up, knockback, and other displacement effects. So he's a counter to Wolverine. He's a counter to Wolverine. He's a counter to any displacement effects. Anything that could knock you up, like Bucky's grapple or Hawkeye's abilities, or any abilities that could knock you up. Even Moon Knight's unk won't affect the Thing.
What? Are you serious?
Basically. It's pretty simple on the surface.
Are you serious?
There's going to be some cool combos that come out.
Bro, what the?
He's got the fastball special combat with Wolverine as well, and also the same team up with Invisible Woman. And let's take a look at his ultimate now. Use immense power to launch enemies in front of you in the air.
Yo, are you serious?
Straightforward. As you can see, we'll throw a massive set of rocks there. It seems to be a 15-meter range. So if we do it from here, we'll be able to hit them.
Damn.
Yeah, so about a 15-meter range, it will throw people up in the air. And like I say, basic kit, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of good ways to combo it. When you do your secondary attack, by the way, you do get a bit of bonus health. And as you activate your shift, you also get bonus health as well. There's a lot of ways for him to self-sustain himself, even if he doesn't have like the most appealing sort of escape tools necessarily. That's what it looks like. It does a fair amount of damage and sort of stuns them for a while as well. So this is a really good engage tool for sure. It may not kill people, but it'll set you up for the kill. Alright, we'll definitely get into playing these characters.
Oh,
and
so he
learning
has that
more
type of
sort
ultimate where it doesn't
in the
kill, it
sort of
just
more
kind of
advanced guides
stuns,
once
or it
you
really
actually learn
hurts,
the
but it
characters
doesn't
better.
kill.
But now let's get into
Hmm.
the meta changes for
Doesn't make
season
sense.
1.5. Starting with Captain America. You will now be able to shield yourself whilst mid-leap. As you can see here, you can now shield yourself.
I thought you could do
Vibranium
that
energy
before.
source projectile speed has gone from 60 to 80 meters a second. So it will now increase in speed. And when it bounces between players, it will go from 100 meters a second to 150 meters a second. So that travel time between targets has increased by 50%. So it's going faster now. Now, one thing about Captain America's kit is that as you build up attacks, you will start to basically throw the shield, right? Like this, right? If you
Yeah.
don't like to do that, there's a new feature now. If you just melee, you won't throw the shield. It will only do melee. So this is a great counter to say Doctor Strange when you want to just melee shields. And it means that you can melee in the air without activating your diving strikes. This is a really nice change for sure. Captain America's ultimate has been reduced in energy cost as well from 3,100 to 2,800. Doctor Strange has had a change, very small. His health has gone from 650 to 600, as you can see on screen.
Thank God.
Now, in the past,
Should be
Groot
like
could activate
550.
a wall up to 15 meters.
Shit.
Now you can go 18 meters, so an extra 3
Destroying
meter
him is
difference
annoying
on
as
this
hell.
specific wall. It's going to allow you to sort of set up slightly longer range engagements to be able to activate this, right? Magneto has had some adjustments. Firstly, his iron volley attack has actually increased in damage. It now does 40 instead of 35. However, his shield has been nerfed. The maximum
Really?
duration is only 1.5 seconds now instead of 2 seconds. So it will only stay up for a lot shorter time. So one change with Thor has happened. So in the past, when you activated Awakening Rune, after it ended, all of your cooldowns would be reset. However, now you can go straight into your normal abilities. So that's a really good way, and it's going to allow you to flow back into the combo again very easily. Venom's got a couple changes, the first of which being the knockback effect from Frenzied Arrival. They won't go up in the air anymore. Instead, they'll bounce inwards towards Venom, which is going to give more of a displacement effect and allow you to actually follow up with more sort of attacks if you need to, which is pretty nice. I really like that. It's going to make sure that they don't get away from your shift ability so easy as well. The ultimate has reduced in energy cost as well. It's now 2,500. So you're going to get it more often. Black Widow has now had another buff. She can one-shot. Nah, just kidding. No, she now has 15 ammo per mag instead of 8. So that's quite a nice change. If you play Black Widow, you're going to feel this one. I certainly will. The ultimate's also changed something.
Yo, no one plays this bitch because she's horrible.
Is increased. It's an 80% slow, instead of 55%. And on top of that, those in the slowing effect will take more damage now. They'll take a 15% extra damage once affected by this. So it's a nice little change. Not massive. The main primary attack is still worse than a Hawkeye. Speaking of Hawkeye, he's gotten a lot of nice changes. Firstly, an health increase from 250 to 275.
Oh.
Actually, they're really trying to make Blast Arrow actually a bit more useful. So now, the spell field effect, so not the direct hit, but the sort of explosion effect, will do 32 damage now. And the actual Blast Arrow itself will do 15 instead of 20. So a direct hit will do less damage, but the spell field will do more. I've actually never really even used this. Has anyone used this ability? I very rarely use it. I don't think I've ever used it. Present Slash, the ability here, has had a cooldown improvement. It's now 12 seconds instead of 15. And the ultimate has been buffed. You'll now do a 1.35 damage multiplier on the ghost. So you'll do more damage, and the bow draw speed has increased. So maybe it's better to show on this. Basically, it's going to do more damage. You're going to charge up faster than normal, which is that's actually a pretty good Hawkeye buff. It has had a slight buff. The damage pull off of the main attack, Night Sword Thorn, will now be 80% instead of 70% at 30 meters. So from here, damage fall off will start. So let's try on one target. Let me try that again. So I think it was a headshot and 2 body shots before. You can get 2 headshots at this distance. I'm thinking that's reverting the change that she had before, right?
Okay.
I think she can now 2-shot headshot again. I'm going to put the Iron Fist changes on screen. Iron Fist means you can sort of take from this what you want. But basically, he's dealing less damage and healing more now. So his attack is going to do less damage. Every single attack form in there is going to do less damage. However, his secondary sort of has a buff, and it will do damage now based on full health. So I'm thinking this might do a little bit of more damage on like a tank. It does 1.7% of the opponent's maximum health. So, I don't know, let's say get a group and we activate this. It's now a percentage-based deal. So, I mean, you can't complain with that. Like, it's actually kind of like a new tank buster ability. Ooh, that's actually a good change. And he'll get more healing now. He'll get 150 maximum health. Oh, sorry, I let go of it. We'll get 150 maximum health now from this instead of 50. So we can go to 450 health. And if he blocks, you can get an extra 200 health now instead of 150. So let's see how much max health we can actually block up here. And then we go into this mode. Does it stack? No, it maxes out. Okay. But he also has 300 base health instead of 250 now, as we can see here. So yeah, quite a lot of buffs for him. Just his main basic attack is not nerfed, but everything else is buffed. Iron Man got a buff. His base Beam will now do 140 damage per second instead of 120. And his upgraded version will do 190 instead of 180.
That fucking move is too long.
Hulk team up
We'll
has
just troll the shit out of everybody.
Well, adjusted, I should say. It will now do 200 damage instead of 220, so it's definitely not as powerful, but I mean, it's still pretty good. Magix had a small nerf, the little Demon's Rage creature that she could throw out after her shift does less damage per second now. It is 72 instead of 80, but as a buff, her ult now has 3,400 energy cost instead of 3,700. Okay, some pretty cool things have happened to Mr. Fantastic. Firstly, let's talk about his E ability. It will knock them back now a little bit, which is nice. And it sort of has a larger radius. It has a 5-meter radius instead of a 2.5-meter radius. Now, I don't know if that means you can attack multiple targets or what. I don't. Yes, you just saw it there, I think. I'm perhaps. Yes, as you see there, it does. It definitely hits multiple targets. Now, the most interesting thing is Mr. Fantastic's ultimate. It will now do 70 damage per hit, and I believe that stacks in the same way.
No, that jumping shit is annoying because you can't control it correctly.
However, you will need to hit the sort of center. Like if I hit
they need to fix that
center, also look at the radius. I think it's a lot bigger. This does 70 damage, but if I hit right at the very end, it will do 50. And with each hit, it will do more and more damage every time. So we could almost kill a Hulk. So in the past, you could kill a support, but it would take like all 6 hits. 3, and she's got 1 HP left. Pretty good. So Moon Knight's ultimate has been changed. They've changed the way the damage is out. Should be less likely to do double damage. I mean, the way that they've worded it is a bit confusing, but it now looks like this. So those talons will come out slower. However, each talon will hit for more damage. So basically, there's less chance of like getting double hit by 2 talons. But
this dude I've seen this dude take out like the whole team. That's
Witch got a buff to her ultimate. When
that's the craziest part.
She'll get 100 bonus health. And as the ultimate ends, it will slowly tick down at 50 health per second. Spider-Man got a small buff to his web clusters. They'll now recharge a little bit faster at 2.5 seconds per cluster instead of 3. It will be easier to tell if I did have a cooldown. This recharge is faster now. Solid Mains will be happy. His jetpack fuel has gone from 1,200 to 1,800 energy. So you're going to get more use out of this. which is nice. You're gonna be able to use it for longer. I'm just gonna put the storm changes on screen and explain it in the best way I can. Firstly, damage fall off has happened. 30 meters, she'll now do 60% damage instead of 70. But more importantly, her weather control effects to boost her damage have been nerfed for her. She'll do less damage to targets, whether she's got Thunder Mode or Enhanced Thunder Mode, unlike right now. She'll do less bonus damage. However, her teammates in the radius will do more bonus damage. The stats on screen. AnimeArt's base attack will now do 60 damage instead of 55, which is quite crazy when you realize this is a hit scan ability like Hella's, and it has critical damage. So, yeah, underrated change coming here. And also, the damage fall off has changed. At 40 meters, it'll be 60% damage instead of 50. So, even at long range, like, we're doing pretty well, as you can see. Not a 3 hit though, it's still a 4 hit. Dagger's ultimate has been changed quite a lot. So before,
That's a
it
lot.
would stack, right? Each dash, if you dashed in the same place like this, it would stack. If you stood in this area, you'll get massive amounts of healing. Now, you only get the maximum of 1 dash worth of healing. The healing per dash has gone up to 250 though, a second. But yes, you can't stand in this and just stack up a bunch of healing anymore.
Okay.
And also, there's a bit of a longer delay between each dash, as you could have probably
A longer
seen
delay.
there. Now, when you're in the cloak mode, you activate the E ability, which is Terror. Okay. Don't take more damage, right? That's gone up to 28% damage vulnerability now. So that's
Thank
like
God.
28% extra damage instead of 20%. So Invisible Woman, her ult charge has increased in cost. It's 4,300 instead of 4,000. Loki's ult as well has gone to 4,000 instead of 3,400.
Okay.
However, his mystical missile, his basic attack, now has 12 shots instead of 10. So a bit more damage output per reload. Lunar Snow's ultimate also increased in cost, 4,500 NG instead of 4,000. Atlas Bond, I don't think anyone really used this, but it's got a buff. I'll put the stats on screen now.
Aslam Body said if I didn't have to wake for morning job, I would have watched it
I'll put on
whole.
these stats for Dimensional Shortcut, which got a change. Gamma Charge, which we talked about earlier, got a change. And this is a really nice change.
Watch what? This live? Are you talking about?
Let me go take some damage first. So before, this is quite a useless team-up ability for Moon Knight, but when he stands inside the cloaked area, look at what happens. Now,
Aslam Body said yeah.
Okay.
Pretty good. And
I
then
appreciate it.
Symbiote Bond has had a buff. I'll show you.
Thank you, I appreciate it,
man. Now as well. So those are all the buffs and nerfs for this season.
So that's the end of that. Let's go. That's the
Aslam
end
Body
of
said I practice my drawing by copying yours.
Put extra studies on that though.
Morganar said hey.
Hello Morgan, what's going on? Let's see here.
Morganar said I'm okay, how are you?
I'm doing well, just doing a quick practice and then I have to go do some animatic work and then go play game.
There's been a lot of talk regarding layoffs that occurred with a Marvel Rivals game, that specifically being the Seattle branch, with headlines such as Polygon writing, "This is such a weird industry. Marvel Rivals lays off NA-based team amid explosive success. The biggest game this year isn't immune to layoffs." Now, before we delve further into this news and NetEase's response that clarifies some very important things that aren't being mentioned by a lot of Western outlets, it's important to take note of how disingenuous Western gaming journalists tend to be. And as an example of that, we can take a look at the Firewatch Studios situation, that being the devs behind Concord. You may recall during that situation that when the Concord devs were being laid off, a lot of these gaming journalists and modern audience types were trying to drum up sympathy for these individuals, essentially trying to guilt trip gamers for not supporting Concord, acting like it was all of our duty to buy games like Concord, so these sort of devs don't That's just one example, but we've seen similar sentiment reflected again and again, where a AAA game marketed towards the modern audience type flops, and then the modern audience and their gaming journalist buddies try to guilt trip gamers for not supporting the game. Why didn't you buy this game? You know how it goes. And so coming back to the present time, given this news with Marvel Rivals, a lot of these individuals are now trying to use this situation to bolster their arguments, essentially saying things like, see, the industry is such a mess that even layoffs occur at Marvel Rivals. All these devs need to be supported more. And once again, these are the sort of people that will be first in line to defend games like Veilguard and Concord, etc., etc. So they're essentially conflating things together and also blowing things out of proportion, trying to act like these layoffs have been a massive blow to the Marvel Rivals team. Some even saying that it was like a core team that got laid off. But in reality, this team mostly focused on research and development, and it's a team of 6 people. Or I suppose I should say it was a team of 6 people over in Seattle. Now, of course, you're welcome to feel any sort of way you want about that. I'm just clarifying.
Bro, are you kidding me? It's only 6? Like, I'm not saying people should lose their job, it's 6?
Journalists and certain types of people out there would have you believe certain things about this situation that are just overtly not true. Anyways, outlet 80.lv would talk about this disingenuous behavior from various gaming journalists in their coverage where they say, update, NetEase has responded to 80 Level's inquiry about the layoffs.
Only
but unfortunately,
6?
the reply from the spokesman was the very same write-up they sent PC Gamer. Below is the full email the NetEase representative sent us, with some details regarding Rival's main leadership positions not being affected, which for some reason were omitted by PC Gamer. So we have the full message here from NetEase, which reads, we recently made the difficult decision to adjust Marvel Rivals' development team structure for organizational reasons, and to optimize development efficiency for the game. This resulted in a reduction of a design team based in Seattle that is part of a larger global design function in support of Marvel Rivals. We appreciate the hard work and dedication of those affected and will be treating them confidentially and respectfully with recognition for their individual contributions. We want to reassure our fan base that the core development team for Marvel Rivals, which continues to be led by lead producer Weihang Wu and game creative director Guangyan Chen in Guangzhou, China, remains fully committed to delivering an exceptional experience. We are investing more, not less, into the evolution and growth of this game. We're excited to deliver new superhero characters, maps, features, and content to ensure an engaging live service experience for our worldwide player base.
Bro, this is a development team. This is not development, this is research.
They seem to have omitted certain things from their coverage. We can see in their part of the coverage where they talk about that statement, they don't just repost the full statement like we saw 8 Level do. Instead, specifically in the second paragraph, they cut out the part about Marvel Rivals still being led by lead producer Weihang Wu and game creative director Guangyan Chen. There was also misinformation about the situation being spread over on Reddit, for example. Yeah, surprising no one, of course. Such as this post that says, apparently the Marvel Rivals team was just laid off, including the director. Yeah, nah, that's not what happened. Eventually, that post was removed by mods for the misleading title. But that's not the only example. We've also got this post with over 4,200 upvotes from R Games titled Thaddeus Sasser, Marvel Rivals director. Quote, my stellar, talented team just helped deliver an incredibly successful new franchise in Marvel Rivals for NetEase Games, and were just laid off. This can also be seen as misleading because while Sasser did have some level of a director title, he's not the official director for Marvel Rivals. The closest person to hold that title would be Guangyan, the creative director who's been seen in various promotional materials for Rivals. And even he doesn't have a title that's just like Marvel Rivals director. Presumably there are various types of directors, not just like as the Reddit post suggests, one director of all. And certainly not Thaddeus, the one from Seattle who just got laid off. Although a minority, there were still fortunately some people in that thread pointing out the misinformation. For example, this response saying, not the creative director Guangyan. This seems like it was some sort of R&D studio based in Seattle rather than the main dev team in China. According to Sasser's page, they've been working at NetEase Games on Rivals since January 2023. On the post about the layoffs, he describes a lot of his and another coworker's time as a sort of R&D branch, coming up with new level design mechanics, gameplay mechanics, and so on. Maybe the team didn't work as they'd like, or maybe pure greed of laying them off now, thinking they don't need them despite the success. That comment getting a few edits, as the articles eventually updated their information. They got a response that reads, the title is incredibly misleading and this post should be at the top. Anyone who doesn't engage with developer-related side of the game would read Marvel Rivals director, quote-unquote, and assume him to be the director, the main guy in charge of the creative vision for a very successful game, not the head of a tiny NA support studio doing R&D for the actual Chinese developers, and stellar talented team, quote-unquote, would make you think about hundreds of people, not literally 6. One of the responses they got would quote the title is incredibly misleading part, saying, Guessing that was on purpose. So let's check out this comment because there's also quite a callback here saying 6 people only. This is blown out of proportion. And this user then saying that's an understatement. This is a Bayonetta 3 VA situation again for the subreddit. And yeah, I covered that situation on the channel a few years ago, so you might recall that here if you watch those videos too. That situation was freaking crazy. The voice actress attempting to essentially throw a sympathy party for herself while pretty much lying about everything, ultimately becoming yet another reason on the giant list of reasons for why people don't like English voice actors. Essentially, the
So
voice
that got
actress
you
was lying about how much she was paid and trying to manipulate the internet and becoming her personal army, trying to get people to even like boycott Bayonetta and to go after the series creator Hideki Kamiya, which eventually Hideki and Platinum Games responded to her, and her lies ultimately getting exposed. But now circling all that back over to Reddit, as they mentioned that was apparently an insufferable time over on Reddit, and that's because so many people were instantly siding with the VA. By the way, this was also happening on Twitter. A lot of people were just siding with the VA because, oh, we need to always support English voice actors no matter what. You know those sort of people. Hint, it tends to be the modern audience types. And so these fools were getting played by this voice actress, trying to act like they were holier than thou and morally better than anyone who was actually looking at the situation and
Morgan R said the
criticizing
belly button would be
and
a
then,
full
as
line
mentioned,
horizontally as
eventually
well,
she got exposed
similar
anyways
to the
for her
Emperor's
lies,
kid's
and all
draw.
those people who were blindly siding with her ended up looking really foolish. And of course, that's putting it nicely. Now back to rivals, it seems like a similar thing has been occurring over on Reddit with people believing the various misinformation that's been propagated and standing on a soapbox, throwing a pity party for these devs while blowing their roles out of proportion. And as we
Honey
discussed
Bunny
way earlier,
Rabbit
trying to
said
use
that
the
looks really
situation as
good.
some kind of evidence
Great
for
job.
why gamers need to support all devs, even including those who make modern audience slop. Basically, like, see if it can happen to these high-ranking Marvel Rivals devs. It can
Morgan
happen
R
to any
said
dev.
yeah.
The industry is such a mess. We need to support them all. Of course, reasonable people and gamers in the loop with this sort of gaslighting are going to deny that and are going to look at the surrounding context. In closing, something else I said earlier is that you're welcome to feel any sort of way you want about the Seattle team. I'm not telling you how to feel about the situation. I'm simply giving you some of the context and facts about what's occurred, and I'm going to leave it there. So let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comments. As always, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed my coverage, please also consider liking and or subscribing. Appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.
There we go. Oh. Okay. Crazy. Oh man, this world. Okay. I may have to restart TikTok. I don't know what happened when I started TikTok, because when I did, it was literally stuck at 0 for a good hour and a half, and I don't know what the fuck what was that. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, I already know about that. I don't need to listen to that. Okay.
There are a lot of things these
I'm gonna restart I'm gonna restart TikTok. Maybe bring in more people with this model I have here that I just drew. I'll be right back though. I'm gonna stop TikTok. I'll be right back and go run to the bathroom and come back when I turn TikTok. I'm not leaving YouTube. I'll be right back. I just gotta run to the bathroom. I'll be right back. YouTube and Twitch or right back. I'll restart this board. For those who don't know, I'm just letting you guys know before I go. I just got sponsored again by HelloFresh. So if you want to try out the code that's there, the HelloFresh code is there on the screen or in the descriptions if you're watching from YouTube. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's start TikTok. This party started. I gotta get this animatic out of the way anyway. Gotta draw animatic. Art. Okay.
There are a lot of things in this world that make no sense. I mean, why does that matching sock disappear to in the dryer? It's literally an enclosed space. Where did it go? And why do scammers make the grift so obvious? Like, who does that kind of stuff actually work on? And why do people destroy themselves in service of art? So much work for so little reward when you could just do anything else. Of course, everything has an explanation. There's no such thing as we don't know, only we don't know yet. I mean, socks get lost in the dryer because they're small enough to fit through the natural gaps in the drum or the shelf. It's not a perfectly enclosed system. And scam emails are obviously fake because, whether intentional or not, it was noticed that less false positives occurred when the scams seemed ridiculous. That is, only the people who would fall into the obvious responded, making the fakeness an active filtering system for gullibility. And people work so hard at creating art because it's art. Understanding why people make art is more complicated because it's uniquely human. A system not of drum and shell that we designed, but of the body and mind which did so. There are animals which exhibit dances and color, chimpanzees and elephants that paint, but for the former case only in service of another goal, such as attempting to court a mate, and in the latter
Okay,
because
these
the
call
behavior
level
was
of webinars are so
reinforced
annoying sometimes, I swear.
Humans are the only ones who
Alright.
put themselves actively into harm's way in order to make something that many would even consider a total waste of time. The answer isn't woven into the fabric of humanity, but into the fabric of every bit of humanity, a tangled mess within each and every individual, tying their childlike whimsies into their adult anxieties and everything in between. So this video isn't going to have an answer as to why people create things, but it is going to be the best attempt possible at understanding exactly why creation is so terrible, its naturally depressing trend, and why we can't help but do it anyway despite all that. It's born from the work of some very creative people, and the words
And
of
now what we're
a
gonna
very
do.
interesting man. This is a look at Look Back.
Okay. Let's see one.
The centers on two artists, Fujino, whose rough but punchy and comedic style in the school's four-panel earns her the praise of her classmates. Confident and adored, Fujino's popularity and worth is built on the back of this arrangement.
Hello, everyone, for those who are here.
La Venda TV Queen says hey. Real life steals
Hello.
away all of that praise, leaving Fujino desperate to catch up, throwing herself into producing better art. And in just this premise, we see one of the movie's
Like the
main
arm is
points.
still-
A sort of paradox of creativity, if we want to put a fancy title to
Yeah,
it.
it's that.
Kyoto puts a ton of effort into producing the minimal amount of work that she does. Her room and hallway alike are littered with sketchbooks full of this work. Jolly Ancha says am I. You'll see literally nothing but the practice of art. She developed this skill from being left home alone. La Venda TV Queen says sorry I haven't been here for a bit. I just haven't been able to. In a way,
It's okay.
something for its own sake. There is no exterior reason why she does it
That's
because there is
perfectly
no one
fine.
to share it with. Meanwhile, Fujino clearly delighted in something outside of the craft itself, soaking up all of that praise. At the same time, she worked a lot less on it, putting the strips together in a few minutes at the end of the night. Although to a child in a small world, that very well may have been a lot of work. Jolly Ancha says pew. A lot of homework
Pew pew.
in 4th grade to in 11th grade. It's going to be a bit different, even though your perception of it at the time felt the same. But whatever the case, it's only until Fujino sees Kyomoto's work compared to her own. Thank you, you fave artist, for
Thank
sending
you.
one X hardly.
Thank you.
Quite literally, she's placed into the background.
I appreciate it.
Worried about it.
For those who don't know, we have actually got sponsored again by another food company called HelloFresh. I think majority of you know what that is. So if you are thinking of getting HelloFresh, code right here. You'll get a discount off my code, and I'm pretty sure I don't have to explain this to you, but it's pretty much like it is HelloFresh. So if you want to get HelloFresh, get it now.
And while I like to think of art for art's sake as the
That's we got sponsored by HelloFresh.
Jolly Ancha says, weren't you already sponsored by HelloFresh?
No, sponsored by I did do a sponsorship by them before, but I did a sponsorship of Factor recently. Expired. Now I'm just being sponsored by them too.
She can either be reading manga or creating it, but each minute spent doing one is another less doing the other. She can't both enjoy and create art at the same time. Of course, Fujino has some feelings on this, believing that Kyomito both have.
And then we'll put the hair about a little bit higher here.
Lavenda TV Queen says, how have you been?
I've been well, just trying to make more content and do these sponsorships because they actually help the stream a lot. I know a lot of people want to touch it, but I understand why.
Which is revealed to us in Fujino when she and Kyomito.
So I'm trying to get people onto the
tasked with bringing these
sponsorships.
When they graduate from 6th grade, and while they're accidentally slipped.
Plus, they get food.
Jolly Ancha says, what show is that on the YouTube?
I have no idea. I'm not. To be honest, I kind of just checked out. I was too busy trying to get this to look correct.
It turns out to be anything but.
I just put it there for anyone who wants to listen to something.
Art is her biggest fan. She can list specific ones and when they came out. Insanely impressed by both the sheer volume.
Usually I'll be paying attention, but I just kind of checked out.
As a background artist, Kyomito can render a scene perfectly, but she can't actually place a story of her own into it, rather just making space for it. Think about it. When you see this after-school scene without the somber music, you could place anything into it based on your own experience. Is it the sad goodbye at graduation, or is it the happy bursting out into the world after a long day of classes? Is it the teacher about to retire looking back on their own work, maybe even? Of course, the shading and framing communicate something, but it's largely open to what you decide, in contrast to Fujino's art, which expressly tells you the story. And so, despite what Fujino once believed, Kyomito actually finds herself lacking compared to Fujino's works. This is where the paradox of creativity continues, because the reason for this is an extension of what we covered already. Fujino was living life and Kyomito wasn't. The latter isn't able to put much story to his works because she doesn't have one of her own. She hasn't been out there getting the experiences which inform one of what to write about and how. She hasn't joked with friends about the cheesiest of romances and meteors hitting the earth to have such an idea of smashing them together. The merit of Fujino's work comes exactly from the fact that she has time away from the craft to gain inspiration for what to represent with it. A mindful of wacky and wild things created in a mixture of vivid experiences more than just observing the scene. And we see this pretty directly later on when the two work together to make one-shots, with each one being created from a specific experience that they share. That is, without being out and living life, they would have never made these stories that gained them success. Each minute spent making manga is nevertheless getting inspired by things to make it. Each side demands but then inhibits the other, 2 points on the same spectrum desperately seeking to become the other one, both validating and invalidating their positions. It's desirable but also undesirable. What is a background if it never has any characters? And what are the characters if they're just floating in space? This is one of the harshest aspects of creativity. You'll always need more of what you don't have, always be jealous of other methods that present those things. And look back also expresses why, even if it feels like you've struck all those balances and found success, there is still an issue. That success is always extremely fickle. Fujino was the star of her class, literally having all of the attention at once when that paper was passed out. But the second there's something better placed next to it, she's, and I quote directly, mid. It's especially hurtful in this case, where she was actually asked if she was okay with giving up one of her slots, and confidently believed it would only make her look better.
Can a scaredy cat who doesn't even come to school handle drawing manga on a deadline?
But if the attention
what a bitch.
that easily, then well, of course it can leave you just as easily. So it makes sense that she'll ditch all this stuff and fade in the background of life, all of her friends calling her weird, because the best thing, the one she feels drawn to, needs to be a continuous action soft spot with a recurring series time and time again. Happy music playing over a rising graph, but also each time afterwards falling just the same. And what we see after the happy summary of success is her alone and working. No celebration, just continuation, because when you stop to celebrate, it's gone. And now it's not even really celebration because, well, this is just your job. And after each success, you're reminded of how fickle your livelihood is. In under an hour, Look Back expresses exactly why creation makes no sense. Fujino herself even says,
You know, if I'm being super honest, don't even like drawing manga. I'd be way happier reading manga. I shouldn't lie.
and there is a moment when she quits to do this. After spending a whole year trying to catch Kyomoto, she sees their work next to each other, and after a quiet moment comparing them, simply says, I quit. And he goes back to having
Wow.
fun and being social on the spot. It's like a dam burst and a kid desperately wishing to live life finally could again. I mean, you think there'd be at least one night of sadness after this, but we don't see anything of the sort. I think it's because this moment of relief is when almost any creative knows deep down when moving forward seems joyfully impossible. Because that's why she gives up. It just logically makes no sense to keep trying. She spent an entire year tanking every other aspect of her life and losing every second of time. And while she does improve, next to Kyomoto, it seems like there's been no change at all. That improvement is impossible. And even more, as she jealously believed, Kyomoto was in a better
This is a weird state of narcissism. This is narcissism at its highest. Because like when she was the girl who was, I guess, the top of her class when it came to this very subject, she liked the praise and all that stuff. But as soon as someone either surpasses or catches up or whatever the case may be to this story, she wants to quit. I'm like, you're narcissistic as fuck. You're like, bro, you're not gonna always be the best. You'll be very confident, but you're not gonna be the best. That shit doesn't make any sense. Give me 5 minutes of Clip Studio art. Give me 5 benefits of Clip Studio art. To be honest, I don't. Oh shit! I just sent an invitation to some random. I don't know what that was. I'm gonna kick them out as soon as the thing is here. I'm not gonna lie. Like when it comes to Clip Studio Paint, I don't use all the features. To be honest, and I'm not even up to date with the most up to date features in the store in the software. Why do they put that fucking button so close to everything? Oh my god. Anyway, I'm not so I don't use all the features, so like the only thing I would just say is just a good app just to use the draw. That's it. That's all I would say. That's it. And it's like I don't really use all those extra features and try to use the 3D model thing. I don't use any of that. I just do things pretty traditional when I can as much as possible. I'll use like 1 or 2 tools if I need it, if I'm trying to keep accuracy, but that's as far as it goes. I can't really tell you what, like, although it just does everything like Photoshop does. So like it's like a more simpler Photoshop, I guess you can say. That makes sense. But it's really focused on drawing mainly, compared to Photoshop, I guess.
situation for art anyway.
So I'm not the best person when it comes to like saying which one's better. Because I even started with this one
more in the same time, defeating the
when it came to drawing.
And throwing away all the materials is a confirmation of this. Literally removing the supplies which make the act possible to begin with. She can still doodle on a piece of paper, but she can't make a polished work worth submitting without the right materials and supplies.
No problem.
To give up because this craft is so awful and unrewarding most times, but needing a reason because you're drawn to it. And so making it simply impossible is the reason that works. Almost every creative quit in history is probably some variation of that impossibility, and then the relief that follows. But I think that only follows if one distracts themselves. The thing about life is that, well, it's complicated. A lot of different things are true at once. You can be happy to be rid of all the work, but still feel like a failure for giving up. So Fujino throwing out all of the
Morgan R said, what should I draw? Artextric? Life thrown me many hardballs lately and don't know what to draw. Have sincere art block thanks to Depresso Espresso.
You should just draw things that you have trouble drawing. If you're not good at drawing hands, you should focus on drawing hands. If you don't want to do that, but you want to draw something that appeals to you, draw something about that thing that appeals to you that makes it difficult. So let's use an example. Say you like furry art, but you're not good at drawing furry hands. You should draw furry hands and focus on that for a while. Or say you like drawing cars, but you're not good at drawing wheels. You should find methods on how to draw wheels more accurately. Let's say you can't draw like a building, but you're not good at drawing windows for some odd reason. So the best thing to do is learn how to draw some windows accurately as best as possible. This is why the idea of art block does not exist, because like most cases, it's not that you don't know what to draw, you're just trying to find something that makes you look competent at drawing, so you get praise for it for posting it if you're going to post it. But even if you're not going to post it on the internet, you want to draw something that you feel like you accomplished by drawing something that interests you most. So I would always tell students, draw something that interests you, but yet what is it that interests you that makes it difficult to draw it? So focus on the thing that makes it difficult to draw the thing that you're interested in. So there's never a time you should ever have this thing called art block. It's virtually impossible to have that, because if you have art block, that means you can virtually draw anything. And majority of you don't have the skill level or even up to that par to draw virtually anything. You may be able to draw some things or specific things, but you may not be able to draw everything. So if you're not looking forward to draw everything or be a freelancer, or you're doing this for a hobby, I suggest draw the things that interest you. What is the name of what exactly?
Oh, why not getting drawn right back in? So she gets rid of it to prevent all of that, turning the thoughts not just to, well, I don't have my stuff so I can't, but actually removing the thought entirely while she watches movies or goes out for ice cream with friends.
What's
instead.
this? I don't know what you're
Have
from.
anything
This
sad to
this
look at,
video?
doesn't have time to think of anything
The
sad.
program, you gotta be specific.
It's a distraction from the feeling deep inside
Saying
of
this
her.
and
Soft
I don't know what
smile
you're
comes
referring
out
to.
when she finally draws again.
Video,
reasoned away by-
the software I'm using, the pen,
That's
the
exactly why
tablet.
there's so much action behind giving up.
I think you're
Because
talking
when
about the
she acts
video.
naturally,
I don't know
she
what the name of the anime is.
drawing well.
I wasn't even
makes
paying
life
attention half
less
the time.
fun.
I was too busy talking.
And so when Kyoto gives her praise,
No, the
specifically
game
even
you're
saying
playing.
that
Game. Bro, it's Clipsy of Pain. It's like, why do people think
she's
it's a
going
game?
to come
Why do people
back
say this?
because she never actually came to terms with leaving, but simply
It's so
ignored
weird.
it. But even more, specifically that period
Clip
of
Studio
time
Paint.
after 5th grade, it was the exact time where she was giving it her all to improve. So the person she was using as an example of why she could never get better has now expressly stated that she was improving in the exact period she was trying to. That is, that somewhere deep down inside of her, there is that potential to be the better, the perfect, pure artist that made her start in the first place. And with this recognized, it's no longer impossible. There's no excuse to give up. So she naturally must keep going, angrily skipping home in joy. I think this is my favorite part of the whole movie, that mixture of such happy physical motion, but with an expression full of hate and disdain. It sums up creativity perfectly. It's the sheer joy of knowing that, yes, it is possible for you to be everything you wish it feels fulfilling deep down, and the anger of also knowing that it will be the
No
hardest
problem.
task of your entire life. The life will pass you by while you try to make it what you wish, and so long as the possibility is there, you always have to try. So Fujino skips home, inspired and enraged by the most terrible thing to ever make her happy. There is a note of hope in all of this, though. Fujino and Kyoto are a tragic pair and always desiring something of the other's skill, but at the same time, this provides a logical option. Why not work together? Instead of putting the panels side by side to be compared against each other, make them one. The story and the characters of one outgoing artist and the backgrounds of a shut-in savant. You get the perfect mixture.
That makes
both
sense
of
to
those
me.
skills.
I would just
Reduce
work
the
with
amount of
someone
time that you have to both
if
work
that's the
and
case.
improve, since you don't need to master every skill, and so then you both have time to still experience which inspires the creation to begin with. And then you can
I think
actually
the eyes are
do
a little
it.
bit too high up.
We see this in all their little glimpses of fun together while working a summer away. Sure, they're drawing a lot of the time, but it's working with breaks and snacks, with laughs and naps. It feels like, for the first time, the possibility of a perfect situation of creation, where the act and the reward are in the same exact room, and the sky is the limit. There's no responsibility, there's no expectation, there's just creation. And this does pay off for them as they go big in the one-shot competition, win prize money and attention, and continue publishing successful works at such a young age, to the point that they're offered a full-time offer for their own series upon graduation. An offer
Wow.
that Fujino accepts and Kyoto declines.
Why?
An offer that brings success, but in the same breath inherently spells the end of that perfect situation for creation that could never last. We see this as they browse the library, one moving forward to the next thing she can grab, and another standing in place, admiring the same book.
The ear is too
There's a
long.
case for how each of them views the situation, which is of course coded by their past experiences. Kyoto declines because she wants to go to art school rather than jumping right into her professional career. Sure, it's a great chance, but is she really ready for it yet? There's a lot of ways she can improve, and that's kind of what it's always been about. And maybe that even makes your next chances greater. What if you're not good enough and this one falls apart exactly because you didn't take the time to go and learn and practice and become more? She's fine giving up this chance because
That's not good.
art was never about gaining something to her, but it was about the act itself, sitting alone in that house.
That's
In a
not
way,
a good
she's a
sign.
more pure designer of art, to do it for its own sake and attempt to bring the craft to its greatest heights, whether it benefits one or not. Meanwhile, Fujino accepts the offer because she knows how fleeting success can be. Remember that one time, that one moment where she gave up an inch of opportunity and her life fell back a mile? There's no way that after that she'll give up the chance to grasp her success. Sure, she could go off and improve, but what if they never got attention again? Instead of being able to work on art all day, she was stuck doing it after work just as she was after school. Wouldn't it be better to do it professionally, where she can both work on art and live to inspire that art? Or at least in theory. We know the schedule is worse than that. But the only certainty on this roller coaster of a passion is that she's doing something correct right now, and so if she keeps doing it, then she can keep focusing on art. This feels like the more realistic desire of art, where one has to balance commerce and skill rather than sticking to an ideal which may rob them of it entirely. And they're both right, which means there is no right way. There's only some mixture of conditions and situations which we cannot foresee, but which guarantee no perfect situation will ever exist. Kyoto was on the path of a perfect artist, but that extra time makes her reach less than perfect. And Fujino probably has the greatest reach, but is now tied to a desk on a harsh schedule, eating while she works and occasionally moving 10 feet behind her to go to the bathroom, and that's her entire day. She used to make one-shots based on crazy experiences, and now she makes a recurring story, one which is evolving, of course, and important to many, but slowly, with more minimal free time and experience than ever before. And that's the point. She can grow and change, yes, but only ever in these confines. Only ever as the sharp kick author on the sharp kick schedule. This is the trap of her success. It removes the very thing which allowed her art to have such an intense feel to it in the first place and leads her down a road of repetition. The perfect artist inside of her is more impossible than ever, and that's made final in Kyoto's death. In the wrong place at the wrong time, she falls victim to a crazed attacker who believed his art was being stolen by the students at her school. Brutally, Kyoto is dead. Fujino is devastated by this loss, even putting her manga on hiatus in a complete break from everything she knows to be true. And after the funeral, she goes to Kyoto's house to grieve, and while there finds the floor panel which originally convinced Kyoto to come out in the first place. Ripping it up, only the words "Don't come out" slip under the door and seemingly back in time instead, convincing Kyoto to never come out. This creates a new timeline where she goes to school, survives the attack because of an athletic Fujino, and inspired by the offer to join her in a new foray into manga, she goes back home and draws on an empty slip herself. The comic she draws about is being saved, which slips back through the door to the original timeline Fujino, who finds it and opens the door to see that there is nothing on the other side. The manga was drawn clearly in Fujino's style, and this is a timeline where they never meet until the very end, and so there's no way Kyoto could mimic that. And I think we see that confirmed in the end when the 4 panel she tapes up is blank. Kyomoto never drew anything on it. She was just imagining a world where everything could have been better, where she could have been better. It's not really a secret that you can take the start of one name, Fuji, and the end of the other, Moto, and put them together to get Fujimoto, the author's name. What we witness is two characters, but who form the experience of one author in the end. And that says a lot when one of the characters dies, when the one who's all about the pure route of artistic pursuit is buried under the ground. Kyomoto split off and grew more distant, eventually being removed entirely because finding success necessitates a removal of the perfect ideal, of art just for art's sake. On those tough schedules with expectations from fans and publishers always working to find the next spike just to survive, it becomes clear that one can never become the perfect artist. All they can ever be is an artist. Her despair at Kyomoto's death is the opposite of her inspiration early on. The latter, in childhood and lacking success with nothing to lose, where possibility was still wide open, it made sense that maybe one day she could be that pure artist. She could rush forward with this in mind no matter the costs, because the end results could always be worth it, because they were possibility idealized. But the despair happens when she's deep into her own returning series and eating alone at desk, because now it's obvious how impossible it is years later. You know that it probably can never be worth all the late nights and headaches and stress and doubt right when it becomes regular, pouring art like you
No, it doesn't.
It's your life and it can never be what you thought
No, it
so
does
long
not.
ago. And so
That's only there for you guys to have something to watch other than look at this.
What would have happened
Has
if you
nothing to
did?
do with it.
Could different decisions have
That's
made it what
madness.
you wished? Success seals her into doubt by chopping off the hope of everything for the guarantee of one thing.
Actually, no, that's wrong.
And I
It's
think
not
we really see
madness.
this when
It's just,
Fujino stands
I'm not
inside
going to do that.
Kyomoto's room and says,
I only put that there on the side just in case people get too bored watching the same thing I'm drawing.
That is, saves
I'm not
herself
putting it there
too.
because it has to relate to
She
what
gets
I'm
to
watching.
become someone different.
Actually,
Her
quite frank, I
time
kind of
to go
tuned
out
out
for
right
runs
after I
and
heard the
physical
character
skills
got
to win it against even someone
Yes,
with a
I agree.
offed.
pickaxe. But the confidence to not even bat an eyelash that she put in the ambulance with a
I'm too
broken
busy
leg.
doing what I'm doing.
Compared to the mangaka sitting 2 inches behind a tablet with a rice ball desperately shoved in her mouth, this is someone that seems much more fitted and put together and confident.
You technically did. You said I should draw something that's relate to the video that I'm doing. Why do I have to do that?
Pure artist side. It's a person who became complete before they became an artist. This is pretty directly Fujino thinking of all the ways where less success, more time with possibility, could have made her life so much better. And also a time where even if that mangaka stuff doesn't work out, then she's still confident and fit and broadly skilled, rather than nervous and out of shape with only art on her resume.
Something about some anime about people learning how to draw.
It's still a time where she never convinced that
Or
side of her
trying to
that loves art so
improve
much for
or
its own
wanting
sake
to improve
come out.
to be the best
The
artist
world
or
that
something to that
actually
extent.
did turn into
And then
a
comparing your art to
world
another
that
person and realizing it's
one
not
where she
good
can be
enough.
happy because she was able to
because of
keep it
skill
up
level.
and distract herself
That's
all those
it.
years ago, and now she's so far deep into that distraction, so satisfied by it that she would never know what's being missed.
Actually, quite frank, whatever I'm drawing does relate, because one is about drawing, two it's about
Anyone
anime.
so much on creative things.
It's not exactly what it's about, but it's close enough. Clips to be a paint.
Maybe that's just me. Surrounded by so many people braver than myself for so long now, envy has always been my worst trait. And I can share a really specific thing I envy with you too. College graduation. Mine was May 2020, which means, well, I never actually had it. And there was no goodbye.
Technically you're not wrong, but technically you're not right either. What I'm drawing has nothing to do with the actual art, the actual video, but it does relate to the idea of art, so it falls in that category anyway. Plus I do anime art, so there you go. So you're not wrong, but then you're not right.
It wasn't the right time to bring more people into the same location, and well, I wasn't exactly looking to rush right into those spaces myself either. But after years of school that I had to pay for,
To be honest, I put this up here for people to get some form of inspiration or something, or motivation on why they should keep drawing, even if their artwork is not good
I
enough.
only feel right when half my day, at least.
You just used an anime
So I just made making my
to make a
job.
whole
I've
synopsis
been
on that.
creating things before that point, but the world slowly
No, it's
died
not my own
down, and
character.
everything
Basically,
used
I'm
to
just
throw
doing a
myself
redraw of
into
someone else's
escalate
work.
instead of just here and there. For once
I just
wasn't
want to see if I can
creating
do
new
it,
work
and
or
then
school
I
or
might
else
eventually
even
post it
social
by
life. I
giving
was
credit to the
just
person,
creating.
or I
Making
may
no
just
money,
scrap
I
it
had no
completely.
fans. It was just me and myself, and all of that together opened up those possible futures where one day maybe I actually
I got
could
ignored
perfect
9
this
times.
craft, become some
No, you
ideal
didn't.
self
TikTok
within
just stopped you
of
from saying whatever you were trying to say.
and so much more. The terrible state of the world gave me the best possible state for creation, so I witnessed the possibility and never stopped. From reviews and skits to analysis, I refined
So if you, what app is this? Clips Do You Paint
Janae
Bakugo.
says hello, everyone.
Hello, Mono.
Together into one package.
Clips Do You
Ever
Paint
so
Bakugo.
slowly turning the subject from myself to stories and then back to myself. To be honest, I never really considered why I was doing it, why I had shifted such.
Just to be clear, if you're saying you're being ignored, it's not that I ignored you. I just can't see your comment because TikTok censored your comment.
Janae says, hey, Teach, what's good?
So even if you sent the message, if it's not getting seen, that means if I'm not responding to it, either two things: I'm literally ignoring it, or it's not being seen. And since I haven't saw anything from you up to that point, then it was being TikTok blocking your thing.
Laying on his bed in satisfaction as he ran.
Clips Do You Paint Bakugo says 3 times.
And once he hated me, the channel was mine, and it was really just all about how I loved Yu-Gi-Oh! And once the game changed and the pandemic started, the channel was just that I didn't want to think about myself and the world, which was about to shape.
It's 6. Why are you here?
I wanted to
Okay.
Janae says, how are you?
Never found, and attention never gained. So I worked 9 to 5.
I'm doing okay. Just
a little bit more.
doing a quick draw this in my own style type
trying
thing.
to understand Kogami and Spike.
No, go away.
Myself, stirring my emotions within the possibilities of the stories that the ones dying all around. There were glimpses of success in this.
Why are you here?
I can tell you how amazing it felt.
Jesus Christ, that is a big question.
171 subscribers in
Why?
1 day from that Black Lagoon video tour.
Janae says, who's that?
Oh.
Looks like Amelia.
No, it's some character that.
Transforming itself into that success. The kid inspired by emo boys making vlogs in their bedrooms could finally gain that status too. But each Spike.
Oh, makes sense.
That was 5 months after my graduation, and I knew that for some
No, it's not
reason,
Amelia. I'm not
the
drawing
company
any
looked
fan
down
art. I'm
6
just
months
literally
without
doing a
work
quick
to
chat character
I don't
that
know how true that
artist
is,
did.
but
And I
knew
just
it
wanted to
was
see if I
sad
can
and
draw it
knew
too.
that stressed me out. I mean,
Mine's a little bit different
8,000
than mine.
subscribers.
I don't like the eyes. Maybe it's a
$50
little bit more
all
spaced
the
out.
people who I graduated with better.
Okay, this man is just yapping at this point. Bro's just yapping.
Janae says, hi, sis Artextric.
Oh, she just walked out. Every time when Surprise says hi, she's always getting sends in a melancholy. Deep space. No, that doesn't really relate to what I'm doing. So let's see.
Janae says, stupid TikTok didn't say the first time.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens. Anyway, Mochi, what are you trying to say anyway if you're still in here? Try to fix what you're trying to say, because, like, let's see, XY child should approve their life. Do you want to approve? Want to move it? No, you don't want to move it. Japan.
Morgan R asks me.
Oh, no, not you, Morgan. It was Mochi.
Janae says I would go to it, but it takes longer for it to be said.
I'd never even really watched video essays before making them myself, except for Vsauce, and he
Oh,
could get like 10 million views on the whiteboard.
Axel? Am I saying that right? I think it's Axel.
How is it impossible? 8,000 means a lot against 171, but nothing against 10 million. The zero had only ever risen to 0. But right within possibility was a little company of 5 people down the road from me making machines for a niche industry, willing to take a chance on an unemployed, fresh engineer as their lead.
Oh, smell it. Okay.
It's an interesting thing how almost casually you can think back on horrible moments of your life. There were weeks where I only slept
Janae
one
says,
night
"Where's
for
Brian?
days.
I have to ask him if he has watched EP 11.
He's there.
Made me regret every scoring decision I made, which came about from that first moment of intense loneliness in a dorm room on opening weekend. These were once intense feelings that took over my entire life when I felt them, where eating and sleeping or friends or family fell to the wayside in terrible ways. You wonder when you're awake for so long at once how hours can pass so slowly.
Yes, I agree.
Now these moments are just vague internal monologue played across rolling hills on the drive to nowhere, or as the water runs down the shower drain, or as work steals another day of life. It's so easy to slip into them rather than thinking about all the present issues like, well, identity.
Yes,
or where
I
you'll be
agree.
living 2 years from now, or
Shiny.
the move that
The
you'll be
hair.
making just over
Oh,
a
that's
month, or
okay. That's
all
Scott
kinds of
Pilgrim.
pressing
Okay.
issues. Those are the kinds of things I end up pushing to the side for a moment, or else I would never be able to effectively write a script or maybe even function in daily life. The contrast between the ease of those thoughts, an objectively horrible past experience, versus a fairly manageable current one, is interesting given the manner of them. There are plenty of reasons for this, from growth to mental load to simple time between now and then, but I think it also comes
Can't
from
tell
uncertainty.
if that's a choker or that's
The
a
past,
tattoo.
even though it might be horrible, is certain and set. It happened, we remember some details, and that is the memory. It's almost like the ability to live a certain moment once more, and meanwhile, the present, well, I can hardly even tell you where I'll be tomorrow or who I'll be there as. Sometimes you don't even know where this night is going. Nothing is set, and every moment is an evolution of all things at once. It's kind of inherently overwhelming to live in this uncertain present, connected with everyone else's uncertain present. So,
Oh my
past,
god, this man
even
just
a
yapping
horrible
a
one,
little bit.
always
It's getting on my nerves a little. I don't know why.
It's the
That's it,
one
I can't
thing
do
you
it.
can know for certain. The reaction this creates.
Janae
inside
says, which thing to bring Brian to life?
Hold on, I need to find something. This
This is Blaze, and you get the whole shtick. He draws really good. I want to draw really good, so let's see exactly how he does that. In this video, we're going to go over exactly how he gets his compositions to look as good as they do, and how he tells his stories through his artworks and designs. If you want to know exactly how he draws these compositions and his whole process and rendering style, my previous video is all about that, so I suggest you check that out as well. All the things in this video I'll be teaching you about is stuff that is found in his book, The World of the Ways, and his Patreon, with a few of my own observations sprinkled in. But let's not waste
which
any more
thing
time and
do
get into how
bring
Ways
you
does
to
his.
what? What video is that?
To go about studying compositions,
Some
I think
random
the
I
best way
found that
is
was
to
talking
find
about some
patterns in
anime
simpler
about
pieces and work our way
trying
up.
to improve.
So here we are at the portraits. The first thing to start with here is reference. I know I say that references are important in like every video I make, but seriously, I don't think I've seen a single time where Gaways has explained making a piece without having a reference to his references. So if you have an idea in mind, find a reference. And if you can't find one, then just
Yes, I agree.
We're doing portraits here, don't overcomplicate things. When I look at Gaways portraits, there are always 3 distinct points that I believe make them so good. The first being dramatic lighting. Lighting is always at the forefront of his portraits, creating the most contrast and interest towards the focal point, that is the head. There are so many types
Damn
of
it, I
lighting
put on the
techniques
same
you can
damn
use,
layer.
but
My
just
stupid
experimenting
ass.
and finding what creates the most interest to you will go a long way when creating a portrait. Just make 2 or 3 lighting scenarios and see which one you like most. You may think you nailed down the lighting the first try, but you never know. That second or third time could be even better. The next point is a bit more of a specific one, which is hair shape. How does your hair flow through the portrait? In portraits, you're pretty zoomed into that character, which doesn't leave a lot of room for, let's say, movement, which means that hair is one of the only places where the audience can get a sense of movement. Does the hair overlap with the clothes in any way? Does it cover any parts of the face or flow in the wind? One of the most important
I
points
love
of
your art.
interest in
Thank you,
characters
but
will
I'm just
always
doing
be
a
their
quick
hair,
master
and every
study.
time Gaways makes sure he nails that part. Now,
Technically, I'm
finally,
doing a
we have the
master study
gesture
if I
and
put it in that
anatomy
sense.
as the
I'm just doing a master study. I'm not making anything new. This is not my my original character or anything like that. I'm just literally doing a master study of a character that I'm looking at here from, what's his name? I follow him. His name is Andrew the Cockroach. I think that's his name. I think some of you may know who I'm referring to. You probably follow him on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or whatever. He draws a bunch of like anime girls. They're usually not all that big endowed like how I draw mine. He tends to have them pretty petite. I draw mine pretty busty majority of the time. I don't really like drawing them very petite because they always fall in the territory of lolly, and I don't like doing that. So, yeah, that's why I don't really do like a lot of fan arts. Well, that's not the reason, but like I don't do a lot of fan arts because I tend to make my females more bustier than usual, or something like that. But he tends to draw his characters pretty petite when it comes to females. I'm not saying he doesn't draw them busty, it's just usually they're usually petite. He draws the men's pretty much the same body type architecture. Either two things, extremely muscular or extremely lean. I know that's pretty much saying the same thing, but they're kind of different if you actually stop and think about it. But, you know, that's how he does his stuff. And I actually like his art style because it's pretty simplistic and I find them fun. It reminds me of the times of, like, I think he does a bunch of Street Fighter, like, fan art stuff, but it's not from Street Fighter, but I know he has a bunch of Chun-Li's, Ryu's, and I forgot that one chick with the purple hair. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. She has the purple hair. She has purple, and her hair is kind of like these, like, how can I explain it? She wears like baggy pants, and she fights with her feet. She doesn't wear shoes. I forgot her name. I did a drawing of her before, but I just can't remember her fucking name. But yeah, so pretty much I'm just doing a quick master study. When is this going to be done? I don't know. It just depends how it goes. So we'll see. I may not even post this at all because, like, I've been doing a bunch of like animatics, so I don't really do fan arts anymore because I like making characters instead of doing fan arts. I rarely ever do fan arts anymore. If I do a fan art, it's either it's trending or I'm literally in that mood to draw something without using my brain too much. But yeah, I don't really do a bunch of fan arts for reason because I don't like being associated to, like, oh, it's that guy who just draws that type of Genshin Impact and shit like that. I want to be known for drawing my own damn characters, or at least art style, whatever the fuck. But you know, I don't want to like, you know, be known just drawing like only fan art stuff. It's like a cover artist, if you get what I'm saying. You don't want to be a cover artist. Like, that's like the most simplest, most boring way of becoming an artist, or at least trying to feel relevant as an artist. You get what I'm saying? But it's like that. I'm not saying that people have not been successful doing cover music, but I would not do it because everyone's gonna say you're only famous because you're singing someone else's art. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So I would avoid it as much as possible for anyone who is trying to. I understand it's a faster way to get followers, but it's a monkey's paw if you think about it. Because if you draw a bunch of, like, say, Genshin Impact or X-Men or Street Fighter or whatever you're into, whatever your show.
The Dragon Age cover arts are beautiful and are several artists which blew my mind discovering the other day.
Let me see. I don't know, the Dragon Age cover arts are beautiful and there's several artists which blew my mind. Well, that's kind of cool if they do that, but like that's just something I will avoid. I'm 30 years old. I turned 30 like 2 months ago. Well, yeah, it's February now. Yeah, it's 2 months ago. I'm a character designer, teacher, and freelance artist.
Yes, I agree.
So I do this as my side job. So with the streaming and teaching and character designing and doing freelance work and VTubing modeling and blah blah blah. Well, I do the creations of the VTubers. I don't do the rigging because, well, I gotta get good at doing that. But I do mainly just making the VTubing models if you want a VTubing model. But they have to be chibi. I don't do full-fledged like giant ones, like the normal looking ones. I do chibi only. But if you want me to do a bigger model, it has to cost you more. You know, I don't sound. What does sound old like? What, I'm supposed to have a raspy voice and talk like this? there's no age to sound like an age, or like there's no race to sound like a race. A lot of people get that twisted. Like, that's weird. There's no like you don't have to sound like a certain way. It's like if I went up to an Asian person and say, "Oh, you don't sound like an Asian person," I'm like, "Oh, I sound like a white guy," or something like that. You like being in the? I guess
Morgan R said face
I
with
don't really
tears of
focus
joy
on those
emoji.
things. Like I am millennial, but like I don't really work and focus on those things. It's like kind of pointless. Like it's relevant to whatever is like the time frame we're asking, but like, yeah. I'm 30. Let me see. It's what I do.
Mono said teach old people like soup. You should act your age.
Yeah, right. It's funny. Let me see. I guess we refer to me as an unk. I'm an unk, I guess, to the younger generation.
Morgan R
I'm
said
an unk.
fat chance. Mono LMFAO.
I'm just an unk. That's all I am. I guess to most people, I'm a dinosaur.
Nana Pharaoh said, wow, you got far.
Really? I don't think so. Pretty basic. But anyway.
Exactly what you want, that the anatomy is correct. When it comes to things like that, having a clear idea of what you want your character to express and flipping your
How old is Andrew again?
will help you make sure that the idea
Mono said lol. Hi Morgan.
look off at first glance. Keyword first glance. Try looking away from your artwork for a few minutes.
Morgan R said hello Mono.
I forgot. I think he's
Nana
like in his
Pharaoh said
40s.
the last time I was here it was only a hand.
The thing that you were hoping for, that I think you're on the right track. By
I was born in
combining
94.
a good expression and an interesting flow of hair in a form
The year
of
Tupac died.
basically guarantees that he has an amazing looking portrait every time. But this is only beginning. Now that we have a few good building blocks, let's move on to how the lace crafted. Things are basically what I would classify as anything that isn't a portrait. I know that probably isn't right, but just stick with me here. Meaning that there are a lot of different types out there. Thing composition is something that I can talk on and on and on and on and on
Yeah,
about.
it was lit. I guess so. Artextric. I like that Artextric. I find that funny. That's actually funny. Well, you have to call me that from now on. So I teach, you call me Artextric.
You never made dog snacks smell this deplorable is diabolical, bro.
Whoever made dog snacks smell like deplorable is. I don't know this. Do they make the smell? I don't think they deliberately make the smell like that. I don't think so. Game Boy vibes. Game Boy vibes. I remember growing up when I had the Game Boy. I didn't have the original like Game Boy. I had the Game Boy Advance. That was in like that was in 02 or 03. I think it was Game Boy Advance, and then it was like I think if I remember a history lesson, it was like it was Game Boy Advance. I think Game Boy SP. I think it was SP, and then it was another Game Boy. It was then I think came the DS. And then the DS Lite.
Artextric turns 60, he's going to draw busty old gals with canes and thick glasses.
Right? That'd be funny. Actually, no, I'll just draw a bunch of like anime chicks that looks like Mono's grandma. That'd be funny, I think. I was born in 1999. I was the Game Boy PSP. Oh, you got PSP? Okay. Artextric will do. Gotcha. Man.
If we zoom out, we can clearly see the contrasting parts.
Should put.
You can see that the lip parts actually make an outline of the main character rather than.
Morgan R said just busty grannies from Dan Dada.
Yeah. I don't think, if I remember right, I don't think Momo's grandma is the first grandma in anime to be looking like how she does. I think there's several other yeah, like Tsunade is one of them. I think Tsunade is like an old bag who has like the jutsu to make herself look old. I think a lot of old ladies will love to have that power. They will love to have that power, and so I don't see why not. I don't see why not. Just a bunch of Tsunades and Momo's mom. I can't remember her name. Senko, I think. Sanko. I think her name is. I always refer to her as Momo's grandma. I keep forgetting her name. I think it's Sekio. And so she's more than 50, I believe. She's like 60 or 70 or something like that. She's some, I think. If we're talking like Boruto, I think she's like 60? 60 or somewhere in there. 70? Some shit. Oh. Let me see.
Ritriclose says Seiko.
Seiko, there we go. I can never say her name right. I always read it wrong. But yeah, I think she's not the first one. I think there was another lady who did the same thing as Tsunade. Not in Naruto, but like in a different anime. Can't remember it top of my head. I don't think she's the first grandma to like be that way. The power of fountain youth is healthy eating. True, and getting good sleep. Something I don't do.
Warm light. So instead of using lighting to guide our eye, the bright red hair of the character instantly brings your attention to her, even though when I change this piece to black and white, there isn't much difference in value. Given these two examples, I hope you can see how powerful contrast can be when used in the right ways. But moving on from that, let's talk about a few more compositional tools that can be of use. Staying on the same example, let's take a look at
Janae says it bright or close high bright.
Not only in the big cathedral, but also in the stairs and even the grass. All of this gives a sense of scale. The repeated grass flowing in the foreground and the repeated pillars leaving off the top of the image.
Bright or close says it mono slash high mono.
Everything into these shapes. You can also see a good balance of big, medium, and small ones. Lastly, if we look at this piece as an example, we can see the balance of densities, a very simple concept here. The closer we get to the focal point, the more effort you want to put in not only how detailed it looks, but how much stuff is near it. You want things to look full, and the most
Janae says it bright or close Brian Yalpsine EP11.
Balancing areas of calm and areas of
Let
chaos.
me know,
So
let
I
me
know
know,
I'm
do
kinda breezing
you
through these very big compositional topics,
the
and that's
way
because they're exactly
do when
that,
I'm
big
doing
topics.
what?
This video is more
What kind of
breaking
question
down
is
how
that?
the ways combine
Right
all
or
of these
close
things
says it
into
mono
stuff,
slash
rather than me yapping about how contrast or shape density works. Can't be using up all my ideas in one video. But to end off the segment, let's go over a bit on how he actually makes and plans these sunny environments I've been showing. Let's use this piece as an example. The first thing that we need is a clear idea. What are we making? When it comes to full environmental pieces, you can't just come in with the idea that you can wing the entire thing like you usually can do with portraits. In this scene, you can get a clear idea of the vision even from the first sketch. A character putting on freshly dried clothes in a laundromat. With that idea in mind,
And
Belief
the
finds the
song
appropriate
from
references and
the
sketches
cave
the
diving
scene.
memes.
Also
Oh,
notice
okay.
the use of perspective grid to get everything
Okay,
aligned.
you're doing a
If
song,
you're unsure of how anything goes at
Janae
any
says
point,
it bright
use
or close.
any
What's
tool
your
at
thoughts
your
on it?
disposal to
Mine are
figure it
kind of
out, whether it be a
50-50.
reference or
I
perspective
wanted to
grid.
see more of
Randomly,
Regulus
finding
fight.
local values and color, and oh, would you look at that? Face experimented with different lighting scenarios and found something he liked better than what he did at first. Almost like I told you to do that earlier. And at this point, you just render the rest and go check out my previous video. The key to backgrounds isn't anything magical or mysterious, it's just taking time to research and plan out exactly what you want. In the end, the only thing stopping you from becoming a good environmental artist is your own laziness. And oh boy, am I lazy.
I can feel that one.
So now we have an idea of how Guiways creates his compositions, but how does he get here in the first place? How does he plan out all of these grand and elaborate pieces? Easy. He just draws what he likes. Pretty much everything that he says he makes is just whatever he thinks looks cool. A dark city with bounty hunters and killers and wizards and whatnot is just cool, and he wants to convey his stories through that lens. But speaking of stories, how does he tell them? Let's look at the individual scenes first. Going through all of these, what do you notice? The characters are almost never directly looking at the camera. They're always interacting with things or doing something in the scene, never acknowledging the camera, even in scenes where they're directly facing it. Because to them, it doesn't exist. To these characters in these illustrations, they're just living through whatever is happening to them. This isn't a splash art or promotional piece, this is a glimpse into the lives of these characters. So in order to convey this as best as possible, you need to show as many interactions as you can. Interactions create a sense of believability that you otherwise wouldn't have if every character just stood there and did nothing but looking at the viewer, even if everything looks well composed, rendered, and lit. But what if you want to create a story through a series of photos and not just one scene? This is something
Yes,
Gawai
I
says
agree.
a lot and something that has greatly intrigued me over the past few months. But again, it just boils down to the topics we talked about earlier, but in a much bigger scale. First thing, the planning. Now you not only need to think about a single angle of an environment, but the entire place in 3D space, as you will most likely be drawing it from different
Retroclose
angles,
says
along with
next
planning
week.
a story or set of scenes that connect together. Then there's creating contrast and interest, but not through light or color this time, but through the compositions themselves.
Next
You
week.
don't only want to make a bunch of portraits or close-up or
Okay.
even fully rendered environment shots. Think of this like a movie. It would be pretty boring if the camera was the same distance from everything the entire time. So changing up both the distance and angle of scenes will create a lot more interest in what you're making. Top all of that off with insanely good rendering and interesting character designs, and boom, there we go, creating stories through Artworks 101. I would say it's a lot easier said than done, but I think even just describing it sounds pretty hard. But I mean, hey, we'll get there someday, right? Right? So there we go, the full Gawai's breakdown to the best of my current baby little art tiny brain YouTuber ability. I hope you guys learned more than a bit about how masters like Gawai's not only draw but plan out their pieces. Even if you didn't get any of what I just yapped about, I think just seeing the thought process will prove to be helpful down the line. I think. A lot of this video is mostly my own observations and not exactly straight out of his books or resources, as breaking it down straight through those would take, I don't even know, like 5 or 10 hours. Just thinking of all of the different scenarios and scenes that I would have to explain just kind of makes my brain hurt. But even so, a lot of the pointers given here are explained in much greater detail through those, so go check them out if you want to learn more. Let me know if there's any other artists that you guys want me to break down in the future, and if you've watched both parts of this study and aren't subbed yet, come on, man, what does the guy have to do to get a sub at this point? Do I personally have to go to your house that I definitely know the address of and beg on my knees because don't test me, I can and will do that if necessary. Begging aside, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. This is Gawai's, an illustrator of over 11 years that has quickly managed to garner a massive following due to his dark and expansive illustrations, always leaving an impression on the viewer that there is more than initially meets the eyes in these vast cities and complex characters. But what has always intrigued me the most about his works is the simplicity. Simple. What about his works looks simple? I know, it sounds crazy, but zooming into a lot of his works, you can see how simple he's able to make these details while still masterfully creating a realistic scene. This skill, paired with his ability to tell stories through still photos, has captivated me to the point of buying both his books and Patreon to learn his ways. To best explain things, I'll be splitting this study into 2 sections. This video will be going over his entire process and rendering technique, how he technically makes the work. The next one will be going over his composition and narrative, how he plans his work. Most of the information in this study will be from his most recent book, The World of Gawai's, the appearance that he made in the book Mastering Color and Light, and his Patreon, all of which I highly recommend you get for a more expansive look into this, links in the description. So in order to study how he makes his paintings, we first have to, well, see how he makes his paintings. But the problem with that is while his process is shown in the books and Patreon, I couldn't find any real time lapses outside of his YouTube, and I'm way too broke to get his Colosso. And seeing as I wouldn't want to use an 8-year-old video as an example, I'll be doing a complete master study following the process he describes in the sources I already listed. I'll be doing this using this piece, not insanely complex, as I mostly just want to get the process down, but a big thing with this piece is that he posted his work in progress bar, so I have something to cross-reference. And as you'll see later, that'll be very helpful. I'll be breaking down his process from Photoshop into my own software of choice, Clip Studio Paint, not sponsored. There is only one singular brush I will be using this entire time, the good old trusty round brush, specifically the round brush inside of Gawai's Patreon pack. 95% of these paintings were made using this, and the other 5 consisted of the default blur, blend, and airbrush inside of Clip Studio. But without further ado, let's get into the study of Gawai. Starting off, if there's one way I would describe this process, it would be the phrase simple, but not. You'll see what I mean. As described in the books and in the work in progress, the process starts much like any other, with a rough but decently complete sketch, with most of the important marks like the focal point, character, and big objects defined. Then Gawai skips the line art and goes straight into the local values. Yes, you heard me right. This is a one and done. the sketch to the rest of the painting. Moving on, we block in the local values, this being the value of the color that should be on each part of the painting. No actual coloring yet. Working value can be very useful instead of going straight into color, as it allows you to get a rough idea of how the shapes and lighting will be blocked in before worrying about secondary things like color too early. But again, things may vary depending on the artist, but we'll get into that later. After the base values, we establish the lighting of the piece, keeping things pretty zoomed out as we're still pretty rough and have no real need to sweat on the small details. At this point, we should have a rough blocking of the values and the light. So we continue to render the more detailed parts of the illustration, not going to render small things like the eyes or the nose, but putting in secondary shades and lighting and adding more into the scene if it's more than just a character. At this point, we should be mostly done with the values, and we can take a step back and look at the painting as a whole. Is it too bright, too dark? If the lighting looks off, but it's in the right places, instead of repainting it, just adjust the brightness using the curve tool. In Clip Studio Paint, not sponsored by would mind one, you can do this by going to Edit, Tonal Correction, and Tone Curve. In this tool, you can select and move around this curve, which will affect the brightness of the selected layer. Keywords selected layer, which means that the less layers you have, the easier this will be. Now, with a pretty good value range and a rough sketch on top, it's time to add color. Gaways adds local colors to the illustrations using the soft light layer setting. Just making a new layer with that setting on top and clipping it on top of whatever you want to color. This leads to a pretty desaturated palette, but we're just getting started. Now, to get the mood down, the entire painting needs to be a lot cooler, especially considering that we have this strong blue lighting coming from the left side. Keep in mind that at this point, everything should be merged into two layers, one for the character and one for the background. Yes, Kuwait unironically does this. Duplicate the layers and on them adjust the colors using the color balance tool. To do this in Clip Studio, waiting on that sponsor, going back into Edit and Tonal Correction, and then it's right there with all the other stuff. This tool allows you to select the shadow, midtones, or highlights and edit the colors accordingly. However, color balance changes the entire painting into that blue hue.
Why?
This is why we duplicate those layers. Just erase the parts you don't want to be as
Hydroclose says hi, sis Dextra.
once you're done. At this point,
Janae says hi, sis Dextra.
Wait, what? That's it? But we're nowhere near the finished piece. What do you mean just render? Simple but not my friend.
No, that just says his name, his other name. But I know it's Mono every time.
So at this point in the process, I was feeling quite confused and like I had like a huge, giant, daunting task ahead of me. Because I know all that's left is to render, but it's so far from that finished product. Looking back, I can raise his own
Thank you, Fave Artist, for sending one X finger high.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And then it looks like he shows you steps 9 and 10. But again, I'll never know until I try it. So here goes nothing. At this point, I'm just working from big to small. I realized the head and hand were too small, so I make them bigger.
Lavenda TV Queen says OFCC.
An hour carving away at the hair and the head. This leads me to one of my big ways rendering tips.
I will not be line arting this.
Yes, I agree.
It'll take too long.
When working with something like this round brush, it's easy to try and color click and blend with just the brush and do that over and over again until something kind of looks smooth. And while that does work in places like hair and sometimes in some pieces of clothing, when you try it in everything like the skin and smoother materials, you end up with things looking very samey and muddy in the texture department. So if you want skin to look like real skin and cloth to look like cloth, then you need to use the blur and blend tool along with your round brush.
Lavenda TV Queen says I'm making a tattoo that I will be getting in the next year or two.
Back into it,
I'm making a tattoo that I'll be getting in next year. Okay, let's go.
Paint them out, such as areas in the hair.
And what's that tattoo of?
To the uniform, and
Can you share that with us, or if it's too much, do not.
To the fifth painting
If it's too personal, do not.
And this leads me to my second big tip. Don't be afraid of making big changes. In so many of Boy's work in progresses, as seen on Patreon, I see so many points where he's on his 5th or even 6th panel and almost completely done with the piece, and then he just makes a huge change in the composition, something that I have no idea about before, and honestly really respect him for. He's not afraid to change big things even when it's only on 2 or 3 layers. Not afraid to test out a solution when he sees something wrong rather than just trusting the process. Things like the case on her back, the tattoos, the entire monster in the background are things Goiz didn't even include in the first 3 steps and only added later on because, well, he just felt like they would make the piece better. Heading back into the study, at this point I'm actually feeling quite good. A complete 180 from the previous point. It was was surprisingly not that difficult to just paint on top because the key features were already figured out
Lavenda
in the
TV
previous
Queen
steps,
says
and
it's a
just
Yanyan
a
flower
matter of
tatted with
finally
the
bothering
feathers
to
around
zoom
it.
in a bit.
That's
And as
cute.
you're seeing now, we're just putting in a bunch of the final details. To be quite honest, I was
Is this
also
an
quite
arm thing?
surprised
Is
at
going
how
on your
simple
arm?
this last part was. There's no complicated layer structure. Oh, you have to do this and then that and then set
Oh,
this to clip
is that
on
Arts
that
and
in
Acts?
order to get the
I
glow
think so.
just
Maybe
right.
that was
All I
Arts
do
and
is
Acts. You
add
don't
a
answer
single
that.
layer on top, paint on that, maybe set it to overlay or color dodge when I want to adjust some colors, and merge it when it looks good, rinse and repeat, and then blur the background.
Lavenda
There we
TV
go.
Queen
We're done.
says I
Well,
decided
not
it
really,
myself,
because for some
and yes,
reason
it's
my dog
going
had a
around
bunch
my
of little
arm.
tricks on me,
Cool,
so
cool.
while I'm drawing it, it looks good, but when I
the hell is
export
that?
it, probably as you're seeing during the time lapse, it looks way brighter than the reference. But
You bought
no
it?
big deal. All
Why?
I did was just go back
Wait,
to
I'm not
the
saying-
color
actually, I'm
curve
not-
and color balance and
Why?
adjust some things, make it a
You
little bit
still say
darker,
what?
get some
Lavenda
blue,
TV
and
Queen
that's
says, and
it.
yes, I have a
Didn't get it
meaning
on
for it.
camera, but it was like
Okay.
2 minutes ago. So
Usually
with a
they are. I don't
finely
think most
adjusted
people get tattooed
painting,
because they
there we
look
go.
cool. They have to be
Voila.
some kind of
Study
meaning, most people.
complete.
Oh, yo, that boy.
Well, the
Mhm.
study was a success,
Mhm.
especially considering it only took about 6 hours. I only really got to tell you like 2 tips.
At
And
the
what kind
store?
of person would I be to only leave you with 2 measly painting tips? So in this segment,
Nice.
I'm gonna give you 5 tips that I would call the goo ways. Totally
Good.
not the name I took from his book. The first 2 I
That
already
sucks.
went over:
Yeah, but
smooth
the
versus
reason why
hard
I brought
edges,
them
and not being afraid to make big changes. The third is references, references, references. This entire
You're gonna
post, while
try
I
it?
don't have the exact reference
it
here,
already
the
has
Waste
before.
himself
Same
describes as
build
having
up.
the reference of pretty much the exact same pose.
Have you-
Of course,
wait,
with
did you
different
buy the other
clothes
ones?
and light and
Yeah,
everything
from
else,
the-
but everything
yes,
derives
the,
from reference.
uh,
The only
amended
reason I was
line.
able to emulate
I'm talking
Waze
about the
to this
regular
degree with a single
stuff you
brush
get.
in
No,
6
they was
hours
out
is
of
because
stock.
I had the
Oh, shit.
perfect reference right in front of me
I
the
heard that
entire
one.
time. The final product. The name of the game when making something that isn't a study is finding the right references to match the pose, the mood, and whatever else you have in mind.
So you're
Use
drawing.
your intuition
Thank
and
you,
then
but
fill
this
in
is
the
just a
gaps for
study.
the rest.
This is
The
not
fourth
my
tip is
original
to keep it
character.
simple, stupid. The
So
big
just
theme
be
in this
clear on
entire
that.
study is how simple things
I'm learning from
One
another
brush
artist.
and a few
I'm just
default
looking at their
blends.
work and
No,
just seeing
you
what they
don't
did.
need one brush for
I'm
the
looking at
hair,
their
and
thought
then one
process
brush
and
for the
doing it.
skin, and then one for the clothes, and then 100 more for all the different materials that exist on Earth, except for the rig brush. That one is pretty good. But my point is, you only need like 3 brushes
What the
max
fuck is
to do
it?
95
Okay.
to 99% of the work. Same thing with the layers. You only need like 5 to 10 depending on the piece. And if you're being really simple and you're just making a character with a simple background, no effects or extra objects or anything, you only need 2 layers. Merge that line art with the color layer. How dare you? The fifth and final tip is to ignore the process. That entire segment right after the intro, not really needed. Sure, if you like working in grayscale, it is a legitimate way to make paintings, and lots of highly popular masters paint in this way, such as Wop and Gawaze. That first process is pretty much a guide on how Gawaze does that entire first part, going from grayscale to color. But I'm not Gawaze, and I'm sure a lot of you aren't him either. I honestly feel like I lose a lot of control over what I'm making when I start in grayscale, and would rather just put a grayscale layer on top of everything
fuck?
and then
Okay,
adjust things that way so I can
Bro,
work more with
I'm
the
gonna-
color early on. But that's not something I realized until I did this last segment. Now it's time to put my actual skills to the test and paint using the ways I just gave y'all. I won't be
Lavenda
emulating the
TV
style in
Queen
this sense.
says
I
this
just
drawing
wanna
looks
see if I
like
can
something
apply
off
what
of
I learned
Dragon
while making
Ball.
this video into my own work and not
I
really
can
try
see
to
that,
copy the
how you can
signature
make that
Gawaze
assumption,
realism.
but sadly
So
it's
starting
not.
out, I had a pretty good idea in mind, mostly inspired by this piece I just randomly saw on Twitter, and I wanted to do a theme of an angelic sunset. With that idea in mind, I collected a few more references and got to work on completing the sketch without much trouble, and then did the values. You don't need me to explain this again. But this is when I ran into a wall. How do I
Hydroclose says
turn
no
this
more like
into
Dragon
color?
Quest.
This is much more colorful
Yeah,
than
well,
the study that I
Lavenda
did,
TV
and
Queen
don't try to
says
make a
okay,
mistake
it's
to
not
start
Gust. A lot of the
grayscale,
feckers
but
do.
I ended up settling with some gradient maps and other things that I won't get into
Okay, it's
details
not
for because
Gust,
at this
it
point
is,
it was 1 a.m. and
feckers.
I was getting eepy. So I
EP.
wake up, I look at it,
So you'll
and
never hear me say
what
that
is
again.
that? What was I on last night? Because this looks rough. TLDR, tried to save it. The resuscitation was not working. Mouth to mouth was not melting.
Lavenda
and I
TV
decided to
Queen
scrap
says
it. I
Law
still think the
People's
idea
man.
was good, and I probably will remake it in the second half of the year when I'm bored, and I even like the sketch, and I think the composition is decent, but I feel like
That's
fundamentally
pretty close.
we're
Ian
off
said
with
hi.
the colors, and
Hello.
I couldn't exactly get a clear idea of where to take it. So that's going on the bench for now. For attempt number 2, I decided to do things a bit differently, less study and environment oriented, and more leaning towards the types of things that I usually like to do. The subject here was free run because yes,
Lavenda TV Queen says I know it's not just a lot of the features. Look like they're off Dragon Ball.
So again, back to the sketch, I wanted to be as nonchalant as possible. I ended up with the idea of her trying to touch her own magic because it's purple, shiny, and I guess potentially lethal, but she's just a chill girl. Ignore me fumbling this hand for about 10 minutes, and there we go. I like the sketch. I was like, screw that gray
Apparently
character.
Ian
I'm
asked
just going to
you
do
to
my
actually
own
draw
thing.
that because you
I
were
do my
honest,
own thing,
because
and
that's
then
crazy.
went back to sleep. I woke
Yeah, I
up,
draw it. Why would I
booted up
not
that
draw it?
tablet, and what do you
I
know?
drew it,
It
but-
actually looks pretty good.
I drew it, but I don't own the character or anything because I'm doing a master study of something from an artist that I follow. So I'm just trying to see if I can match it, but I don't think I can because obviously it's a master study. So, but yes, I drew it. No, my reference, it's gone. No. Oh, I forgot to charge the phone. Oh no. I think I saved it on Pinterest. Fuck it. Hold on.
So I'm just gonna keep on going with this. Oh, and I finally remembered to turn on OBS again so I could screen record this entire thing. I don't know why I forgot to do that. I'm a little stupid. I'm a dum-dum. So
Apparently
getting back
Ian
to the
said you
reviews,
really
at
good
this
at
point we're
subscribe.
pretty much at the rendering stage.
Thank you, I
which brings
appreciate
me
it.
back to my point. The process to get here doesn't really matter. The one that Gaways uses is a perfectly fine way to do things, especially if you like painting in grayscale and converting it into colors. But if you don't like that process and it feels more natural to paint in the colors yourself, then by all means do whatever you want. What's really important is treating the rendering stage like Gaways would. At this stage, I've divided everything into 4 layers. 1 for the background, 1 for the character, and 2 for the effects on top and bottom. Now I'm just doing the same thing I did back in the rendering section of this video, painting on top of areas I feel like need immediate correction, mainly focusing on focal points like the face, hair, and upper torso, trying to get a good foundation. I will say I did get pretty lucky with this piece as everything was kind of in a pretty good spot from the very beginning, which does not happen very often in my other works or even just the master study. I'm mostly exclusively sticking to the Gaways round brush, mixing in a bit of
Lavenda TV Queen says I'm not done with the tattoo, but I have the design you want to see.
Painted over anyways.
Sure, you can
time I
send it
see
to me.
something that I'm not completely sure about, I just bring up a new reference off screen, such as for her clothes, staff, hair, whatnot. But let's not stress out on the details and cut to the chase. I added a few gradient maps here and there, some correction layers on top, and we're done. Not bad at all, especially considering the time to make it was only a bit under 6 hours.
Yes, I agree.
Apparently Ian said
So
you now
what
Demon
are my
Slayer.
final thoughts on the Gaways style? A lot more straightforward than I realized. I knew it wasn't going to be rocket science or anything, but so much of it was
Do I
pretty much
now
all
Demon Slayer? What does that
intuition,
mean?
a few brushes, and very few layers.
I mean, do I
To put
draw?
things into context, to go from base sketch to colors, the entire process part of this video took about an hour and 45 minutes. From that point on, everything was merged into 2 layers, and to go from that to the finished product was about 4 hours. Less than 1/3 of the painting actually took any kind of quote-unquote process. Now obviously this will vary wildly depending on what you want to create. If you're making something like a city or with lots of repeatable objects, I'm sure you're going to spend a lot more time sketching and figuring out the initial steps.
Apparently Ian
Eventually,
said
you just
no.
need to take a step back,
Ritroclose says at
merge everything, and give into the chaos of pure instinct, one brush, just do whatever you want. It's just a painting
Yes, I
over
do.
a lifestyle. It's
I'm
funny
not
how you start off
gonna.
not
You
using
already
layers
know.
because you don't know how, and then once you learn a bit about them, you suddenly
Know
looking
what?
at a painting that took 50 layers with a single character and background, and then you go full circle
Holy
and
cow.
realize 2 layers was kinda all you really needed in the end. I'm sure not a lot of you will get exactly what I mean right now. A lot of this stuff is pretty advanced, especially when it comes to stuff like trusting your instincts while you render. I mean, what kind of art instinct do you have when you just started out? This is the stuff I've understood until recently, and I'm over 4 years into this art thing. But I hope this is the kind of video that some of you can come back to years down the line and be like, Oh, so this is what he meant by using the blur tool in the right way, or something like that, and then comment about it in the future and stroke my
Lavenda TV Queen says it bright for close. Can I send you the pic and can you send it to teach?
It's helped me grow a lot over the past few years. I hope you guys
Apparently,
look
Ian
forward to
said
the next
you know
video,
Demon Slayer.
and I'll catch y'all.
Yes, I do
in
know what
the
Demon
next one.
Slayer is. I sent you a pic. You can send it to each. Okay. Okay, let's see. Let's go. 3D. Oh, I made this. Comments.
If you clicked on this video, you're probably familiar with the endless liquefying and adjusting whenever you're drawing faces. The truth is, there's so many hidden little things you're potentially screwing up when it comes to faces, and in this video, I'm going to break this cycle by studying 10 pro artists ranging from top illustrators to serialized mangakas to
Apparently,
find
Ian
all
asks
hidden
him to
tricks
draw
they
Demon
use
Slayer
to draw
next.
perfect faces every
I don't do
single
fan art, so you have to
time.
pay for
First
that.
off, there's a second feature aside from the
Link in
eyes,
bio if
which
you
we'll
want to
talk
get
about
that.
later. That's criminally overlooked when we're
I don't
drawing
do free
faces.
requests.
The mouth in the
Sorry.
basic anime style
Writer
is
Close
usually
says that you
simplified
fave
as a
artists.
line. And
Yes,
let me
send it
tell you,
over.
simple doesn't mean easy, because depending on how you draw the mouth, it reveals a lot of the gaps. in
Lavenda
knowledge
TV
about drawing
Queen
the face.
says,
There's
mind you
one
teach
single
this was
mistake
made
by
2 years
far that I
ago.
see in a lot of my
Apparently,
drawings,
Ian said
and this
okay.
shows up
Okay.
the notes in the mouth I draw. Pro illustrator Lee Flag and
Link in
Kuro
bio if
Shiro
you want to
are
get a
both
drawing of
masters
this.
at drawing the face. In these examples,
drawn
by
Demon
both
Slayer
artists,
before.
there's a common theme that's missing from my older drawings, and that's the curve of the face. Here's some basic facial anatomy for you to get started, and for that, I'll need some assistance from my good friend Johnny Skulls. As you can see, the entirety of the skull is rounded to varying degrees. The forehead is pretty rounded, then it squares up as we go down to the eye sockets and cheekbones, and finally, as we travel down further to the teeth and the jaw, you can see that they're almost cylindrical. So when you're
Apparently,
drawing
Ian
faces
said
on
he's
skulls,
drawing
it's
Demon
very
Slayer.
useful at the beginning to imagine, or at least have an under layer like this. to
I
remind
think I
ourselves
drawn
of the
what's his
curve. And that's
face?
why we need
The
construction.
one with
I know
the
for a
pig
fact
thing
that
on
a
his
lot of
head. I
us
forgot
like
his
to
name.
start with the eyes,
Inosuke?
but after studying these two artists,
drawn
can very
Tanjiro and
awkwardly
the other one
recommend
as
you
well.
guys to draw the face
The
in
blonde-haired
this new
one.
order
I think I
instead.
drawn
And here
Nezuko
are the
before.
reasons why. It's no secret that we as humans are
You can
very
see in my
attuned to our
shorts, you
own
can just type in
species'
Demon
facial
Slayer, my name, it'll
proportions
pop
and
up.
alignment. I don't
On
know why I
YouTube.
said it like that, but that's why perspective and proportions are crucial here, because the slightest mistakes can lead to devastating results. By drawing the head shape first, we establish the overall orientation of the head, which allows us to define the perspective and proportion lines early on. To do this, you have to remember a few key points. Having the
Oh my
orientation
god,
and
dude,
the
why
center
is it
line
on the
of the head
different...
defined makes it so much easier to place the mouth in. Remember the curve of the mouth as well. And after this, we just need to know which height to place it. And I personally find the proportion chart very useful to refer to whenever I'm drawing faces. But do note that this changes depending on the perspective and the angle. Just a quick tip for perspective, I recommend flipping the canvas a lot, like 5 times more than you think you need. If you're starting to feel like I might be flipping too many
Writer
times,
Close says it
do
makes
more times just for
IEC
good
20,
measure.
yes.
Now, we talked a lot about
Are
the
you
closed
using
mouth.
default
Let's
brushes?
look at
Yes.
the other
I don't
features
use...
for now. The nose is
I don't use, whatchamacallit, when I'm doing things like this. I don't use, texture brushes and all that stuff. Especially when I'm streaming. I hardly ever use that shit. So, there we go. Hold on. Push that on there so I can... Oh, sorry about that. There we go. There we go. Oop, that's like kind of... Fuck, okay, make it smaller.
Yes, I agree.
There we go. I think that's fair enough to see. I have to put it sideways next time. But yeah.
is probably the least emphasized feature on the face, especially in the anime style. But that doesn't mean you should neglect it completely. In these drawings by Lee Flag, you can see how important it is to give the face, at this angle especially, a more three-dimensional look. And even though you don't see it being drawn too much from a more face-on perspective, it becomes increasingly important to support the other features on the face when the head is turned away from the camera like this, or when there's directional lighting applied. That's why you should never ever sleep on the nose. Because the nose is protruded on the face, unlike all the other features, It catches light very easily. That's why you often see artists do this. Understanding the basic form of the nose can help you decide which shape to use for the highlight or shadow of the nose. Speaking of the nose, Ishida Sui, the author of Tokyo Ghoul, has a varying degree of realism that he likes to employ when he's drawing his characters. Alongside with the mouth, these features can convey a lot of emotions. It's pretty hard to convey hard-hitting, gut-wrenching emotions on the face if we're only relying on the eyes. That's why we usually see manga artists use a range of realism to draw the characters depending on the situation. Another notable artist is John Kafka. We've seen examples from Kuroshiro on how to use simple light shapes to indicate the form of the nose. Instead of drawing lines to represent the nose like most anime styles, John uses soft shadow shapes and thin lines to indicate the form of the nose. These are mainly stylistic choices, which I'll go into more detail.
I didn't really define the legs too much. This is more of a skin study. I'm focusing on the skin.
Which I have already covered.
I just want to see if I can pull it off.
Rotation like this.
I'm not trying to make a whole full-fledged drawing.
Three-quarter angles and angles above or below the eye line. So there's this concept called tsurime and tarime in anime, which basically means upturn and downturn eyes. Your typical local tsundere will have tsurime, while your gentle Esther waifu that's unfortunately considered a doormat by a protagonist will have the downturn eyes. So this might sound really obvious, but you might want to keep the rotations between the two eyes consistent.
What? What is he talking about?
Will have tsurime, while your gentle Esther waifu that's unfortunately considered a doormat by the ungrateful protagonist will have the downturn eyes. So this might sound really obvious, but you might want to keep the rotations between the two eyes consistent. Otherwise, there'll be consequences. Now, Kuroshiro has my work cut out for me with these sketches because these eye shapes are really everything you need to draw a vast variety of characters.
I didn't even know that.
You can see how I broke down the eyes in Kuroshiro's work to the simplest form. This step is useful at the beginning to help us focus on figuring out the alignment and placement of the eyes. If you follow the video so far, then you should already have that in the orientation you want. From here, you just have to place the eyes in. I find it
drawn it before.
Easier if the shape is more blocky and angular. Again, we want
Dude, just type in JJK and put my name in the search, you'll see it.
Remember that there's a curve at the eyes, even though it's not as extreme as the mouth. Just a quick fire of some really common proportional rules for the eyes. One eye apart for the distance between the eyes, the bottom of the eye aligns with the tip of the ears, and the inner corners of the eyes align with the outer corners of the mouth. This often means that we'll have to do multiple passes to have the
Lavenda TV Queen says, hey Teach, sorry, had to do something. What do you think of the tattoo?
Oh, let me go check.
You need some perspective skills here and understanding some eye anatomy by using references. I have a video on perspective here where I broke down perspective to 7 different skill levels that anyone can master, so definitely check it out. Okay. So, final ingredient for the eyes is this thing here. The eyes are placed in a socket, and there's a slight indent here below the brow region. A more pronounced brow is usually found in a more masculine or mature looking characters, and vice versa. If you want your characters to appear more feminine and young, you should make this region flatter or has less depth. This is especially important detail to include whenever you're drawing a profile angle or 3/4. If you're dealing with lighting, how you add shadows to that area will also affect the final look largely. The deeper the shadows, the more depth that area will appear to have, which will give the character a darker, serious look. And finally, the placement of the eyebrows also matters, particularly the height of brow. A higher placed eyebrows can make the character appear more feminine as well. So in short, to draw kawaii anime girls, you should go for higher, thinner eyebrows, larger eyes, and less depth for the brow region. And on the flip side, if you want sexy, middle-aged anime uncles, you should go for low eyebrows, preferably thick with 3 C's, and narrower eyes with more depth in the brow region.
Is that true?
I've covered most of the basics here, but we can and definitely should take things to the next level. Your personal style truly comes to life when you add some flair to it. And and we're going to look at how the rest of the pros stylize their faces. Now, if you have been following along so far, you should notice that there are several parameters that we can tweak in order to create a unique looking face. We're going to look at 4 different artists for this section that each has distinct styles when it comes to the face. This first artist should need no introduction. Hirohiko Araki has what one might consider a pretty realistic art style, especially in the anime world. What makes his art stand out from the others is the particular way he draws the entire upper region of the face. In almost all of his characters, there's this signature upturn around the brow here, completing the shape that's highlighted on the screen right now. You can see it in basically every face that he draws. And also, let's not forget the realistic noses and lips that Araki likes to draw. There is always a volumetric look to the nose and the mouth, unlike the typical moe anime style. Another thing that Araki likes to include is the contour of the cheekbones and the brow ridge. He emphasizes these regions a lot, giving the face a very chiseled look. Because the faces he draws are pretty consistent, Araki's strategy here is to use other accessories and the hair to help the viewers distinguish between different characters. Lamb is one of the artists that I have featured on the channel before. One thing you might notice here is as we move down the spectrum, the faces will get more and more simplified and caricatured. But in Lamb's case, the faces definitely still retain some realistic elements. For example, the volumetric look of the nose and the mouth, and a lot of the anatomical details being included in the eyes. Of course, the eyes are the selling point in most of Lamb's pieces, so let's see how Lamb draws them. There's a common eye shape in Lamb's work that goes like this. And this is supported by this exaggerated thickness in the eyelashes going along the eye like this. And of course, a variety of colors and details jam-packed into a tight space to really sell that focal point. This is just my own observation, but we also want to keep in mind the 80-20 rule here when doing the fancy colors. From what I can tell, Lamb usually limits the colors to no more than 3 to 4 hues at a time, and the distribution goes 70% base, 20% main, and 10% accent. And Lamb likes to relate the colors of different props in the piece to the colors of the face being drawn here. You can see here how Lamb perfectly executed the perspective and the curve of the face like what we just talked about. And this fundamental proficiency can be seen in Noom's work as well. Just at first glance, I'm sure you can already tell that most of the characters Noom draws have younger, chibi looking faces. And the key here is proportions. You see, there's a huge difference between the faces Noom draws and Araki's. Instead of the angular face that Araki draws, Noom softens the curves of the face, making the face take on a rounder shape overall. This will give the character a younger and cuter impression, resembling a baby-like face. In a more realistic adult face, the proportions tend to go like this. The face is longer and the features are more spaced out. But in Noom's work, the facial features are more squished together, as you can see here. As usual, the eyes will be huge, but Noom actually likes to draw half-open eyes most of the time, giving the character a relaxed, natural facial expression. It might not look like much, but the mouth Noom draws are
let me go look at her thing. I forgot. Sorry, my bad. Let me look at your thing.
Curve of the line in Ina's face,
go look at it. Go at Discord. Sorry about that.
She's being surrounded by the other.
Let me pause it. Let me see.
Lavenda TV Queen says low.
Let me see. You don't want this to be seen, right? You want me to show this off, or you just want me to see it? Here's Alex's top trap. Oh my god! You know what? You don't have Clip Studio Paint, do you? Because if you have Clip Studio Paint, you can use this symmetrical tool to make everything perfect. Once you're done, like once you have the full concept. I know this is 2 years old. You said you can scan this in, put this in Studio Paint, and then just literally trace everything, and then it'll be perfect. Everything will be symmetrical if you just retrace everything in a symmetrical tool. That's what I used earlier for this face here. You probably saw me do this. I made this crown like eye thing for the head here, so you can use that as a way to do your thing. But that's up to you. But I'm just saying.
Other girls.
Lavenda TV Queen says, Lala, I don't want it to be perfect.
Okay. You're highly expressive and simplified.
Let me see.
Continuing the big eyes trend, let's.
Did you want me to show it off to everyone or no?
Author of Dachi Akuta. Now the proportions drawings here are truly classified as out of whack. Urana's faces have a lot of variety, and I mean a lot of variety. Perhaps the most unifying elements in all the characters in Dachi Akuta, Kei Urana's serialized manga, are the abnormally large eyes and the hair. Yes, the hair. Although not as intense, I see some influence from the Yu-Gi-Oh series.
Let's
where
go.
The characters tend to have huge eyes and wacky hairstyles as well. The structure of the skull is completely alien.
So for those who don't know, this is one of my students' artworks that they're doing for
Lavenda
their...
TV Queen says, can you repeat what you said? And you can show it to other people.
This is for from one of my students from Yo Fave Artist. She's working on this drawing here for her tattoo. It looks pretty cool. I like it. It looks cute. They're still rendering it and keeping things in check so they can get it ready for their tattoo in the next year or two. So that's really cool. Yo, bro, you gotta teach me anatomy. You gotta become a student. just like Yo Fave Hours, become a student. Go to the coffee buy me a coffee link. It's in the link in bio. You can become a student. You can ask me any question, and I'll answer any question you have, and all that great stuff. I'm trying to figure out if I'm doing this correctly, but yeah. But thank you for showing me that, Yo Fave. I do appreciate it very much, hon.
Lavenda TV Queen says, bro, I've been a student for 4 years now, lol.
For free? No, it's not for free. If you want to be more of a free student, you have to watch my YouTube videos whenever I post those, or my shorts, but I don't ever post that many onto my stream, onto my on my YouTube or Twitch or TikTok, because I'm too busy making content. That'll be changing this month. I'll be going back making tutorials anyway, so if you become a free student, you're just getting the YouTube videos, but it may not answer your question directly. So it better just be a student. So whatever questions you have, you can directly ask me, and I'll answer your question outside of the stream, not even inside the stream. So that's pretty much what that is.
At this point, and even though they seem like they don't obey the laws of physics anymore, these faces still follow some basic rules, which makes them work. The spacing of the facial features is still pretty consistent, like the rules we talked about earlier. The only difference is the size of the features. And what I really want to showcase here is no matter how you want to stylize your faces, there are certain rules that you still have to follow to avoid that uncanny valley. But faces are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to creating interesting characters. Character design is a deep topic, and it's impossible to cover everything in a single YouTube video. This Skillshare class by the famous YouTuber Jaza covers exactly that. Not only does the class
Lavenda TV Queen says BRB
in great detail,
okay,
Jaza's bright personality also made the class really engaging and fun. This other class by Tonito Pantoja covers the expressions and posing of characters to bring out their personalities.
Yes, I agree.
We're covering this topic in a second, but it's worth checking out the class if you want something that goes a little more in depth. Skillshare is the largest online learning community that houses thousands of classes led by industry experts across various topics like film, illustration, design, even productivity and business. Not only are the classes well curated thanks to features like learning paths, each of these classes are also carefully designed to maximize your learning experience. Yes, these guys know what they're doing. I don't know about you, but I'm a person that learns faster by doing. You can also create and share projects to get feedback from the community after completing a class on Skillshare, which is a really good way to apply and retain the information you just learned. I know we all wants to get some extra art gains before New Year's hit, so that's why Skillshare offers a 1-month free trial for the first 500 people who click the link in the description box below. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring the video. To really bring things to the next level, we need nuance. And this is that final step that will complete the whole package you need to draw great faces like the pros. I don't know if you guys knew about this, but apparently
Yes, I agree.
the face moves. I won't go into details of how each of the facial muscles move, but rather the general principles on how you should approach drawing facial expressions. So I would say there are 3 main moving parts of the face, and each of these areas contribute to showing different emotions on the face. Similarly to the other parts of the human body, when something moves on the face, there's usually a pull and a squish effect. This will create an extra layer of details.
Fabe says hello.
The faces that we're
Hello.
drawing, mainly on how the skin folds in certain areas as the face moves.
I think I think I think my skin is getting better. I think the skin. What the hell? Hold on. Okay, it looked. Okay. I think my skin is getting better. Could be. It's getting better, but it's not good. It really isn't. Need to do more work. Need more work. We gotta keep practicing, because we'll never get to where we need to be. Hey, Bub. Hey, Bub.
Around. These are also hotspots for wrinkles if you enjoy drawing middle-aged men like me. Shion Kim, a character designer and concept artist who has worked on big projects like Big Hero 6 and Spider-Verse, is a master at this. Let's go through a few examples here. During a deep scowl like this, the eyebrows are brought together, creating these skin folds. The movement
2D
of the
pencil?
jaw here also created folds at the cheeks.
We were like 20 minutes ago, and I was like, just a sketch, how do you work so fast? Well, you should never left. I saw your stream on my FIP like 20 minutes ago. You should have came into the stream 20 minutes ago. I'm a teacher, is what I do. That's pretty much what I do. I give a little tips here and there when I'm on stream, but I usually give most of my tips to my students. So if you want to know, you gotta become a student. Let me see, what are you drawing? I'm doing a master study from, what's his name again? No, wait, no, did I lose it? No! No! Wait. What, oh, oh god, good thing there's recently viewed. Woo! I was about to get mad. Okay. Mine's a lot more different compared to his, because he didn't do a lot of shading at all. I don't know, it looks okay, but it looks like it's too blendy. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
It's in some aspects. I don't know. It's weird. Weird. Wait, I know why. Hold up.
Yes, I agree.
Get rid of this real quick. That's the... Okay, now that needs to be multiple. Let me see if I put a multiple. Ooh. It's about 69. I'll put this more of a overlay. Okay. Overlay is kind of overlaying right now. Let's pull it back a little bit. It's a little too harsh. Ooh, that looks nice. Let's go. Thank you, Sam Does Art. Let's go. Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, we're on to something, boys and girls. Let's do this. We're on to something with the skin. The skin's looking a little too pale in my opinion, but I'll call this a win. This is a win for today. This is a great study win. I made all the difference in that. Okay. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad right now. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. I was gone for a bit. Holy moly. If you guys like what you see, please follow. You guys are impressed, but you don't hit the follow button. That's crazy. Anyway, so let me see.
Smiling here, the upper part of the face relaxes, so it lengthens.
Okay,
while the
so
bottom
what
half
should
of
I
the
do?
face squishes upwards like this,
What's your
creating the smile.
inspiration? None. I just want to improve. That's it. I have no inspiration whatsoever. I guess my only inspiration wanted to improve. That's it. I don't care for like someone who's like a great artist who's like very good at it and stuff. I just kind of just do my own thing. Nah, I do my own thing. That's what I be doing. There we go. Make that more lighter. Made the colors pop more. I want to show you guys the reference, but I think it'll get me in trouble. I think it's not even that bad. Well, in my head, it's not that bad, but like But, it's. Let me put it this way. I'll put it like this. I got pretty close. She's not naked. She's in the same bikini. It's just like, it's just, you know. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. What's the ref right here? See, for those who are trying to see. She's not naked or anything. It's from, what's his name? I think his name Andrew the Cockroach? Let me go back. Let me go to Instagram. I follow him. I've been following him for years now. Hold up. Let's see here. Okay. There. Yeah, Andrew Cockroach. That's really his name. I don't really wonder why he named himself that, but that's his name nonetheless. That's him right here on Instagram, for those who are wondering. That's his name. He probably has a TikTok for all I know. You guys probably seen his works before. He's a character designer, like I am. I'm still learning. He's more skilled than I am when it comes to coloring. That's what I'm trying to improve. I think I'm better than him in like gestural poses, in my opinion, but like he's way better than me when it comes to coloring, and that's what I'm trying to improve on. It's all about improving, everyone. Need to improve on them color theories. Color theories. That's what your teacher's learning. Color theory from San Does Art, because I actually became a Patreon member to his stuff, and I'm actually applying to what he said. It's been taking me some time, but I'm getting it nonetheless. So, you know. Let me see, like this one. So, let me see here, like, example. Like stuff like this. He has great composition. I love his compositions. I like how he puts characters in. It always looked like cover art for a video game. I don't know if he did artwork for like, what was that game? Fuck, what was it called? I think he did cover art. I think this is him right here. There he is. He's done a bunch of Street Fighter stuff. He's one of my favorite artists, but he's not my top one. I think my top favorite artist is probably Rhino Tuna, or Reno Tuna, depending on how you say his name. I think under that is Kim Jong-il, and then it goes down, and then like it's, I think no, when it comes to like the anime stuff, it's like Reno Tuna, Lack Illustrated. I don't think he actually does anime when he was alive, but it's very like we all know who Kim Jong-il is. If you're in the art world, you have heard his name at least once or seen his work.
Lavenda TV Queen says I'm cack.
So it is what it is. What does cack mean? I feel like these are some awesome stuff. I like his coloring, but I think the best person who does coloring is probably Reno Tuna because they have more of a realistic sense. His is very saturated and stylized. I don't mind saturation, but I don't like it when it's super saturated. It hurts my eyes. I don't like it. It's like, this is fine because even though it's saturated, it blends well in harmony with each other, so it doesn't feel so overpowering. But when it's like, here's an example. Fuck. Okay, example. This is fine too, because it works. But when it's super saturated, like, say like this, no. Just no. It's just too much, bro. Just too much. It's too much going on. It's like, it hurts my eyes. Like, what's happening? Like, I just don't like that. So I kind of took a note from him that whenever he does like his character designs, he will do this thing where he'll just kind of draw the character and then he'll just kind of like, use an example.
Janae says teach I will go.
All right, Mono. He'll like color the. Oh no, there's another one. There's a better one. I saw it earlier. Yeah, he would like draw the character, but he won't shade it all that much. There was like one I saw. Where was it? Look, where is it? I can't find it. My favorite color palettes are secondary.
Janae says bye.
They just blend so well together. Yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad with secondary colors. Okay. I think this one. I don't think there's a lot of shading in this one. There's a little bit of it. There was one I saw he had no shading whatsoever. I think it was this one. No, there's shading in this one. Fuck. I can't find it. Ugh. Anyway, you get my point. So that's pretty much like this one. The one I have here, there's no real shading. I'm not going to show this because it's going to be too problematic. So I try to get as close as possible to the original. Obviously, mines are different because the eyes are a little bit not as spaced. Mine's more closer. The eyes are way spaced, but that's probably based on how the head was drawn. Mine is a little bit more small-minded, or smaller. His is more, but a tad bit more wider, so the eyes has more room to be spaced and balanced. What's the Instagram? It's called Andrew Cockroach. Believe it or not, if you want to see his Instagram, it is right here. If you want to see the icon to make it easier. For those who want to see his stuff, I've been following him for several years now. Okay. He's a concept illustration. I think he also draws girls and muscles. It says, but he's overall a character designer. If you want to go check his stuff, he has a Colossal. If you want to go check that as well, but it's gonna be a bit pricey. But you know. But yeah. So basically, this study was basically on the skin. As you can see, he did not shade this one. He didn't shade anything really much in this. He kind of kept it pretty casual. But I went down the shading route because I wanted to see how the shading would look. If I were to shade it based on how what's his name, Sam Draws did it, so or would have explained it, and I applied it, and it kind of works. There's still some parts that needs to be a little bit more refined, but I think this is a win for a study. Not going to lie, in my opinion, because mainly when I do skin, it always look like ass. I can draw a character, I can make it look nice, just like this. Usually my sketches will look like this and be pretty much done because like people like how I render. Well, I don't say render. I'll say line art everything. I just kept it sketchy because I didn't feel like doing the line art. But if I did, it would look a trillion times better with line weight and blah 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 and all that great stuff. But I didn't feel like doing that. I wanted to do some coloring for once because the skin and all that great stuff. So that's pretty much what happened here. So this is not a total loss. I think this was a win. Oh yeah, let's go.
I don't think you'll like them. They're pretty hard too.
So I'm gonna do a new drawing here. Nope.
Use the evil eye one.
Yo, what?
Evil eye is called.
This what I'm eating?
Yeah.
It's called the evil eye.
Mm-hmm.
The hell?
Here.
I don't know that. Whoa. Evil eye chips. What the hell? Alright. So let's get back to work. I'm gonna do another drawing.
Squish into the eyes as the mouth and
See,
the
I can
cheeks
pull it
pushes
off.
upwards.
Okay, one second. Let me eat these chips.
Intuitively tell how an emotion correlates to its facial expression. You probably don't need me to tell you whether this face is happy or sad. I mean, if you do, that's why I want to highlight an important concept on how these rows create an extra layer of emotions on the face. The squish and pull method can also be used similarly to how you would want to draw a pose. There's always this contrast of positioning of the body that makes a pose more attractive. You can see it in these examples by mangaka Yuto Sano, where only one side of the face is squished and the other side is lengthened. The different movements of the eyebrows here and the asymmetrical shapes of the mouth creates a much more engaging and interesting expression on the face. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be very exaggerated. Examples here with Shion Kim has just a slight bit of asymmetry at the eyebrows, but it's definitely more expressive than the straight face. So not only is asymmetry a visual tool to help us create more interest in the face, this concept can be used in storytelling and the emotional aspect as well. You probably have seen a character displaying a mix of emotions on their faces like this. According to this article highlighting this concept about emotional asymmetry, when there's a genuine display of emotion, there will be a symmetry of emotion displayed on the face, meaning both sides of the face should show similar emotions. So when you want to showcase a deeper state of mind of a character, perhaps some sort of internal conflict, this is a great way to use facial expressions to bring that out. Or you want to hide a character's true intentions, making them look more mysterious. Asymmetry is a great tool for all these purposes. But remember, if it's a genuine, heartfelt moment or pure rage, you want to keep it symmetrical to express that to the viewers. And some of the panels from Tokyo Ghoul are great examples of this. Now, to practice drawing facial expressions, there's a really fun exercise that you guys can do. Just go on Pinterest and search for meme faces. You can thank me in the comments. There are some pretty meta applications of the same asymmetry concept as well. The mask in Tokyo Ghoul, particularly the one worn by the protagonist Kaneki, showcases very well the internal struggle between his ghoul and human selves. While the ghoul side remains expressionless and gruesome, the human side often expresses different subtle emotions throughout the series. Of course, this falls into the realm of character design, so let's save that topic for another day. Faces are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to drawing characters. There's also the whole world of anatomy for us to go through, which is just as, if not more complicated than faces. I made a video studying Chinese anatomy expert Tenten, so make sure to check the video out here. Bye.
Okay. Hold on, let me get that out of the way.
Use the bucket tool to color your lineup faster. A big mistake I often see beginner artists making is coloring in their lineup by hand, which takes forever when they could just be using the bucket tool to do it a lot faster.
Actually, no, there's a more faster way. You're supposed to go to the edges and put in the lines at the end of the edges of the line, and then you use the bucket tool.
Program I know of has some kind of bucket tool, so make sure you use it.
Okay, here's one. Don't be afraid to get messy with your sketches. Stop worrying about clean lines right off the bat. Let your hand go wild. Embrace the scribbles. It's all about capturing the energy and flow of your idea first.
What I say? What I say? What I say?
You just let loose in your sketching phase. So get messy. Break some rules. Doesn't really
Your
matter.
teacher knows what he's talking about.
There's still 100 more tips to go.
Do you ever struggle with taking too much time to shade
I like
or render your
manually,
colors while
though.
going over your liner? A tip you can use is the alpha lock your flat color.
Yeah, but then if you like doing that, that's one thing. But if you want to do it faster, that's the fastest way.
Nothing in color goes outside of the designated layer. Here's a difference without alpha lock and with alpha lock. If you want to separate your colors on different layers, though, an alternative route is to create a clipping layer. This has the same effect as alpha lock, but gives you the ability to do whatever you'd like without directly affecting your flat color layer below.
Learn perspective. I used to try studying things like anatomy, but with no knowledge of 3D space, I didn't actually end up learning anything I could use. Following one of these grids without understanding what you're doing probably won't help that much. This is how perspective is usually taught, but you'll only be able to draw freely once you understand the idea of this enough that you don't actually need to draw it. Once you understand how to properly draw basic shapes in 3D space, it dramatically changes your understanding of art and it makes everything considerably easier.
Flip your canvas horizontally to see all of your mistakes.
Always save some time to create just for yourself, because if you're only creating art for other people, eventually you're probably gonna start hating making art. You are the only one who can create art you create, so go create it.
Do you ever find yourself leaning into your drawings almost 200%, and then whenever you zoom out, you start to notice all the little things you didn't see before? Well, this is my big piece of advice for you. Almost every art program I could think of has the ability to do this, where you can open the canvas inside of a new view. This can help avoid the issue of finding pieces or parts of your art feeling a little off or out of place when compared to the full drawing.
Social media makes making art look really fast. When you look at photos, they're finished. When you look at short form content, the video makes it look like it was done in 2 seconds. The tip is, art is never usually that fast. That social media stuff, it's all fixed in post. You can think of the real speed of a drawing as kind of a combination between
Who the hell actually thinks that was how that works?
how many things
You're probably crazy if you actually think that's true.
The more you can get a better layer piece and add details, and if you're drawing for fun, there's no reason to rush.
Sounds crazy. Who the hell thinks that I'm gonna watch this and they go that far?
To improve your art, but it's just not working out for you. Don't worry, baby girl, I feel you. What you're gonna do instead is something I call the silhouette method. Instead of just drawing the figure how you see, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a big thick marker, a thick brush, whatever you got, and you're gonna draw just a complete shadow of that figure. What this is gonna do is help you get a fresher look at the shape and form of your model.
Correct.
Look out there.
If you're struggling with composition, try sketching out different thumbnails first. Essentially, by just doing rough, small sketches, you can plan out posing and placement of objects, value and composition, or even color. You might be surprised. Often, your first few ideas aren't the best ideas that you can come up with.
Your art style is unique because it's yours. You may feel like other artist styles are cooler or more beautiful, but only you can become best at your art style. So keep at it.
Whether you're drawing, coloring, rendering, or doing line art, do not autopilot. Always take a second to question what you're doing or what you're trying to do and if it's working in your art piece. Creative decisions are something you should be actively thinking about all the time, because this is where all your choices as an artist shine through as your style and trademark. Autopiloting leads to generic or stale iconographies. Automate the execution of your art, not the choices behind it.
Hello, how are you? Doing well.
Please look for them.
Just to be clear to most of you who are in here watching this or watching me do artwork, if you want to get your comments to be read out, or you want it to be read out through the Rocket Raccoon's voice, you have to be a team member, and to become a team member, you just gotta send out heart me. It's literally equivalent to one of a, it's equivalent to a rose. So if you want that, there you go. Sorry about that one day. One day about what?
Don't just look at TikTok or Instagram
I don't even know what you're
expect
talking
that
about.
to be the experience. It's not. Sometimes days are hard, and what we really could use is a little bit of encouragement. Please trust that there is a community out there. There is a group of people out there who will help you out and keep you going strong.
Do you ever find yourself just constantly redrawing the exact same line over and over? Typically what I do when I'm in that situation
I made a
is
friend.
I just remind
Good for
myself
you.
that done is better than perfect. Now obviously you still want to give the drawing a very solid effort, and you want to try and work out any potential issues that you have, right? But you just don't want to get stuck on redoing the exact same thing over and over and over, and just having the same end result essentially. And on top of this, just have fun. Just let loose, just do your thing and have fun while you're doing it, and you'll get a lot better end results as well.
Hello, my name is Nick. Also have a gaming Nick on YouTube. I have drawn a lot of Paradox Pokemon in my time, drawn a lot of Fakemon, and I've gone from pretty bad to pretty decent art. The main reason for this is definitely practice, but I also got a bunch of feedback through comments on YouTube. In my opinion, this is in fact the best way to grow as an artist. Ask feedback.
Do it right now.
The fastest and easiest way to get a character to look in the same direction is to draw dots, and then base the rest of the eye around that. And now you can fill in the regular sized iris, and boom! Now the drawing of your character
Yo, what's
is
up, bro?
looking in two different directions at once. You can thank me now, I mean, come on.
If you want to go back to traditional art, I suggest getting a light table. To slowly transition to traditional art, you have to sketch digitally, print them out, and then transfer them, and then finish the whole drawing traditionally. If you're doing a painting, I suggest getting tracing paper or graphite paper. Both of them work.
I don't know why you guys didn't bother.
While you may want
You know
to
what,
sit
never
and
mind.
finish a whole drawing in one sitting, there are multiple benefits to both you and your art if you just take a step back every once in a while. An obvious reason is that you'll be able to unshrimp and rest your arm, leading to less aches and possible damage. But it also allows you to stop tunnel vision in your art. When you come back from your break, you can look at your art with brand new eyes. Now you can see why your art didn't look quite right. Or maybe you can see that you were overthinking it before. You'll never know until you take a break.
Before starting drawing, stretch. After finishing drawing, stretch
just
again. You gotta add hand,
Okay.
wrist, and arm exercises
perfectly
to your
fine.
drawing routine to avoid injuries. I'm leaving here the ones I usually do to warm up.
So are they in here to try to learn
Strengthen
something? Is that what that is?
injuries and
Are you bringing them in here because they want to learn how to draw?
Personally had to stop drawing for days while recovering from wrist pain because I didn't do my daily stretching. So don't be like past me and stretch.
If you want to get paid to make art, your portfolio, showreel, and website should show the things that you enjoy making and want to get hired for. It doesn't matter if it's personal work, it's still valid. Taking pictures or videos of the process can help with promoting your work online and hopefully get it in front of the right people who can't hire you if they don't know you exist.
Art development isn't always linear. It ebbs and flows as you progress. Sometimes you'll have great bouts of improvement, and sometimes you won't even be able to draw a face. Take it slow, and remember that everyone's art journey looks different. As long as you enjoy what you're making, you'll get to a point where you love your art.
So I showed them to you, just
If you're
so
struggling
you
to
could
draw
meet
smooth
you. Okay.
lines with drawing line art, try changing the stabilizer settings.
Hello.
Most art programs have them, and some can even be set to individual brushes. The higher the stabilizer setting, the smoother your lines will be, but there'll also be more lag between your mouse cursor and the line you've drawn, so be sure to try out different settings to find that sweet spot that works best for you. You'll be making smooth, clean line art in no time.
Welcome folks, it's me, Aaron the Artist. When drawing from references, it's easy to allow yourself to be limited in what you can draw by what's in the reference. But it's important to actually look at your reference to see if there are any ways that you can improve it. This reference here has these gorgeously clear shadow shapes, but the highlights in the hair are drawing too much attention, and there's this funny highlight shape here just above the mouth.
Beanbag said you still want to play Teach,
really
or
clear
now it's
shadow
fine
shapes.
if you say no.
When I painted from that reference, you can see
Can
that
you
I
play or
fixed
no?
both of those things. This
Beanbag
means that
said
my
you seem
painting
like you're
isn't
chilling.
perfectly accurate. The point of the painting is to be appealing, not accurate.
Hey, Manu here. Let's talk about 4 chords
I have
that
no
every
problem
Affordable
playing.
player should know. Let's talk about why you should study the work of the masters. Trying to remake pieces by renowned artists can give you an insight to the fundamentals you need to work on.
Beanbag said I can play, it just seemed comfortable R and low.
Up front, you
Oh.
can use any color
come
you
on.
want and the piece will work,
Give me one
which
sec.
is what I did with
Beanbag
this
said we're
illustration.
busy like you need
Also,
to
by
finish.
studying an anime background by Studio Dogakobo, I got new knowledge that allowed me to paint the backgrounds for my first short film. So go ahead and study the pieces that inspire you.
You are making anatomy much harder than it really should be. Humans come in all different shapes and sizes. We're as flexible as they come. So your proportions should really be based on what design you want to give your character instead of being based on a default rulebook people tell you to follow. What really matters is that your character's anatomy looks believable and intentional. To make your characters look believable, all you have to do is correctly portray
Beanbag
the
asks
overall
what
shape
you
of
want
the
to
body
play.
part and have
I
the
could
proportions
probably
make
play
sense
only
with
for
the
an
shape
hour.
you're trying to give the character.
Then
As
Marvel
much as I
Rivals
disagree
then.
with this character, she still ends up just looking the same. As long as your character conveys their basic shapes correctly, their body parts don't have to be precisely positioned or sized. As I always say,
Oh,
as
just
long
play
as it
quick
looks
play.
human, it's probably fine.
I know you don't want to play
If you have
comp, and I
beautiful
know you
sketches,
can't even play comp with me
instead of
anyway.
doing line art, try lightening your sketch and focusing on just the bits that you
Yes,
need
I
to find.
agree.
Not only will this preserve the energy of your initial idea, but I found it also helps improve your ability to make cleaner sketches in general, because you start looking at the sketch as a part of the final piece rather than just a temporary step.
Beanbag said, okay, sounds good, I don't think I can call.
On top. It's essentially a more painterly approach to art, skipping the line-up stage altogether.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
want to make your artwork pop, then a great suggestion
You,
would
I
be
don't think you'll be able.
Beanbag said, I think I need a higher level.
Yeah, I'm too high of a level for you on that
my
right
already
now.
finished line art with the color I wanted, and that would just please don't do this. It makes your color
Oh
line
god,
art
that foot
messy
looks
and
horrible. What the?
inconsistent. Simply use the clipping mask tool.
Come back to that in a
Clipping
second.
mask tool allows you to draw within your line art for a way more consistent result. Just place a clipping mask on top of the layer that your line art is on, and just like that, you have some fire colored line art ready to go.
Good morning. My name is Derry, and today I wanted to show you some easy ways to create dynamic perspective without worrying about a grid or anything. First tip is to imagine each element of a drawing as a cube. Then, if it's in the background, have it be flat. The closer it gets to the camera, the more you're going to be able to see the top face of it. Let's do one more quick example.
Are you choosing colors directly from a reference? Bright colors are my game. You want to focus on pumping that saturation out of your base tone. See this sneaker here? Bam! See some brighten. By concentrating on this area of the color wheel and keeping color harmonies in mind, you're able to have super fun and vibrant colors. Ramp up that saturation, baby!
That was
If
cringe.
you have trouble making your characters blend into your
Okay,
environment,
yo,
you
Lap,
can do
I
this.
thought
Try a
it
multiply
would
layer with
become
the
more
color of the
entertaining, no
sky
offense.
or whatever light
Dude, I'm
source you
drawing,
have.
I'm not doing that right
You can
now.
use an overlay layer for added immersion and dream
Trying
lights
to-
if you're near
This
the
is why
light
over here is
source.
right here.
For extra depth, use bounce lights or subtle
I
reflections
teach,
to
but
capture
I
the
don't really do a
surroundings.
lot of entertaining. If I don't
If
have
you
to.
are like me, odds are
Right
you
now,
are
I'm
a
too busy trying to
creative
get
type
this correct.
living
I'm
in
doing
a
a study.
late-stage capitalist hellscape where bloated corporate overlords want nothing more than for you to mindlessly consume meaningless content. It is more important than ever that we stay cognizant of how much we are creating versus consuming. It's vital to take in media and culture as a
So you
whole
put the
to
hand
find
about here,
inspiration,
and then
but
the
you
arms right
shouldn't
there.
be
But the
half
arm is about
watching
here.
something while doom scrolling
I'll put
on
our
your
hand
phone.
about there.
Your time and attention
Alright,
are
there we go.
valuable, and you should be creating.
Thank you, you
more
fave
than
artist,
consume.
for sending for by go.
And then put
Commit
eye
to a
here,
consistent
eye
practice
here,
schedule that
put the
works
hair
best for
about
you.
here.
When I was looking to improve my own digital art,
Okay.
drawing something every day really helped
That.
me reach a level of skill I was happier with.
Put
That
the
being said, if daily doesn't work for you, you can try every other day or maybe a more polished piece every week. Or do whatever the creature tells you to draw. The main thing here is consistency, locking yourself into a schedule that's most comfortable for you.
Always save your art. Always. Date them, archive them, save your pieces.
Okay.
Stop spending time detailing subjects that are far away from the main focus. The further something is away, the more you can just focus on mainly
about
volume
here,
and key
and
features,
then there we
suggesting the
go.
details are there rather than actually painstakingly making all of them. This will help so much with saving time and with keeping your overall piece clean and readable.
Subscribe
I think
to Skynex.
I think I leaned the back a little bit too hard on this one, but I will have to do it later. Alright, so I'm gonna hold off for this for now. For those of you who came in for today, you're so fast, you're stream baby. Hey, no problem, I hope they do. It's right 8 o'clock. For those who are coming in now, I'm sorry about this, but I have to jump off. We're gonna go play Marvel Rivals with the mod. For those of you who want to watch that, I'll be back in like 5 to 10 minutes. We're gonna play Marvel Rivals. But for those who don't really care for that, you can jump out of here. Thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it very much. So, if you guys learned something today, we drew a lot today. We had a lot of fun making this. I think the coloring is getting better, but it can get better as
La Venda TV Queen says bye.
Laters. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. We're gonna play more Rivals on. I was gonna play on Twitch and TikTok, but we'll see. But we'll play mainly on TikTok, so we'll see. So that said, have a great night, guys. Thank you for coming. I appreciate all that stuff. I'm sorry for those who just come in and all that stuff, but we're gonna go play more Rivals. All right. So later, guys. Bye bye. Boop.